What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, everyone? Let me know how y'all doing tonight. Let me know if y'all can hear me good. Let me know if my sound is clear before we get the show started. What's going on, Miss Ivy Tube? Let me know if my sound is good. I should be good. G-Dub, what's going on? We hear you loud and clear. All right, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Get my like in early. Yeah, appreciate that. Make sure y'all hit the like button. All right, gonna wait till a few more people get in the room. Shout out Miss Ivy too. Shout out Kenneth. What's going on, Kenneth? What's going on, Aaron? What's going on, Mario? Where y'all tuning in from? Let me know where y'all tuning in from. We need HBCU reputation and people. What a better team to start off. We're gonna talk about that tonight. Chicago. Shout out to Chicago. Columbus. We got Columbus in here. Shout out to Columbus. Shout out San Antonio. Yazoo City, Mississippi. That's where my mom is. That's where my mom's staying at right now. Well, that's where my whole family from, really. Yazoo. We got Mobile in here. Shout out Mobile. Shout out Dallas. Columbia, South Carolina. We got VA in here. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure y'all hit that like button so we get the stream out to more people tonight. Augustus GA in the house. All right, y'all. So I know all y'all heard what happened over the weekend. You know, the XFL was at Jackson State's campus this past weekend. And Coach Prime gave an interview and he said some interesting things that caused the uproar on the internet, on Twitter and things like that. So he basically said that that HBCUs are gonna have to make a choice. They have a decision to make. Either they're gonna have to choose between tradition or going a route that's gonna be more financially prosperous for the institutions. And a lot of people got in the uproar over this. And I want to know what y'all think about this. Do y'all think that are we leaning on tradition too much to the detriment of our schools? That's the question. Are we so gung-ho about tradition that we would rather our institutions struggle than to do something that will financially benefit our institutions? I want to hear from everybody tonight when I open up the phone lines. I want people to call in, whatever side you're on. I want to hear from you tonight because this is a very interesting conversation for us to have. You know, and he pretty much said that Jackson State has actually been talking about it. That's a conversation that they're having, and who knows if an invite comes? Who knows what Jackson State would do? What's going on, Coach Simmons? You got Forest, Mississippi in here. Shout out to Forest, Mississippi. It's crazy how some people don't like what he said. I know, man. It's like I see both sides. I understand the people that want to keep things traditional. I understand that people are fearful when you let outsiders in, how they can change the culture. They can change these schools, and what was once great and what was once what we were used to has been destroyed. You know, so I understand that fear of that happening. But you also have to look at it from a standpoint where, okay, if our schools are struggling, attendance is struggling at some of these institutions, why not move to a situation that's going to financially benefit your school, where you can update the facilities, where you can get the players and things like that? So I understand both sides of the argument. change for the better though. No, other institutions keep their traditions and have grown with the times. Rose Bowl parade, for example. So why can't we? I hate hearing people say we're good where we're at. That's like saying we're good living in the projects. If the SWAC had the resources that the Power Five schools had, then what would be the point of moving to another conference? That's my only issue. Got to make some compromises and be able to adapt. So some traditions have to die and new ones will have to be made. I'm starting to believe that this was always in the making. Miss Ivy said change is a beautiful thing. We don't want to stop our growth by doing the same old thing. I agree with that. I mean, when you think about it, we've been doing this for decades. A lot of people say there's a plan in place for the SWAC to go to the FBS level that's been in place for some time. Okay, Jackson State has a coach that's a lightning rod for attention and resources. To get him to stay long term, they may have to move at neck break speed. They may not be able to wait around and see what wait around for other schools like Valley and UAPB to get themselves together enough for them to go to the FBS level. They might not be able to wait around on it. So how can we be mad at Jackson State if they want to go? They can always come back to the SWAC. They can always come back. Now, I love the SWAC. I grew up going to SWAC games. I grew up going to Grambling games. Well, Jackson State against Grambling, Jackson State against Southern. I grew up going to these games, so I love this conference, and I don't want to see a lot of change with it, but I understand the money side, and I understand if you want your institution to grow and you want to go up to the next level and be able to get these big time recruits and to really get your program out there, you might have to change. So would I want to see Jackson State leave? No, I wouldn't. But if they had to leave to better their financial situation, I can't be mad at them for that. LJ Lowe said, we're gone, brother. Yeah, I can't be mad at them for that. And if it doesn't work, the SWAC is always going to take Jackson State back. I don't think the SWAC will ever tell Jackson State no. They will always take them back. Did FAMU lose money when they tried? I'm not totally sure. That was so long ago. That was during a whole different time. So I hate when people bring up the FAMU situation because that was such a long time ago. It was a different time. I think FAMU could possibly make a move like that and be successful now. Their school has went through a lot of changes, and they got some clout now. I think they can. I think they can do it if they have the right people in place. They can really figure out the money side of it. I think they can do it. Just joining to listen. What's going on, Ken? Yeah, I'm gonna open up the phone line so people can call in, get their thoughts out. Let me do that right now so y'all can call in. Hold on. All right, y'all. Phone lines are open. Phone number 657-390-4814. You want to call in, get your thoughts out, tell me your opinion. If you hate it, you hate the idea, you're a traditionalist. You're like, no, we need to stay where we at. We don't need to let them come in, conquer, and divide us. If you're on that side, call in. If you're saying it's time for us to go, it's time for us to leave and move on to better to more prosperous financially prosperous things. Y'all can call in now. The phone number is 657-390-4814. Also, I'm gonna have Mr. Ford called in a little later. Y'all know I always have Mr. Ford on the show. And I can already tell y'all what side Mr. Ford is gonna be on. But we love to hear Mr. Ford anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna have Mr. Ford call in. But I want to hear from y'all. I want to hear y'all opinions on it. Because there's so many polarizing things that's been said online and on Twitter. It's very interesting. A very interesting topic. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, so we can get the stream out to more people. 87 people in the chat. Let's get to 100 likes. Yeah, it's very important for y'all to like the stream. All right, we got a call coming in. Hold on, y'all. What's going on, caller? You live? Talk to me.
It's Ken Clark, man. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Ken? What's going on, Ken? Let me make sure everybody can hear you first. Hold on just a second. Can y'all hear Ken?
All right.
Let me make sure y'all can hear him. Can y'all hear him?
They can hear me?
Let me make sure.
Yeah, let's get it on. I'll be quick. I won't be long.
No, you can take your time. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they can hear you. Go ahead, Ken.
No. First of all, man, I just want to say, man, shout out to you, for the show. I got the alert, and I was like, man, let me tap in real quick.
Yeah.
Because I rarely catch these, the call-ins, but you do a good job, man.
Appreciate it.
It's a lot of chatter, but I think here's the only thing I would just challenge everybody on this whole topic. What happens, SWAC, is that when we have these conversations, people get highly emotional and act as if things are gonna move tomorrow. It's more of a proactive approach. So here's what we see taking place. In college football, things are changing around us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those things are going to affect us in one way or the other, right? Because if you're never standing still. You're either progressing or you're moving further behind, right? So we've always been kind of the forgotten about, or the have-nots, or the however you want to spin it in the HBCU community or whatever when it comes to college football. Coach Prime coming to Jackson State has kind of really put us on been a lightning rod to this whole, because you and I both know we wasn't having this conversation 3 years ago. We weren't in a position to.
Right.
We're not gonna apologize because Coach Prime joins Jackson State, and you got these two brands that I'll say it this way. It's kind of like the guy that got with the young lady that had low self-esteem. She's pretty, the pretty girl that's got low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then you get this dude that come along, show her what she's really worth, build her up, and not that she's all of a sudden she's got confidence in herself. She's not turning her nose down on anybody. It's just that now she's starting to realize that, what, I ain't the ugly duckling that I thought that I was. I really could do this.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of what's taking place is with Coach Prime, people are getting mad at the man that's turned the light switch on. Because remember what he said is that same light that shows your good side is going to also show your what? Your bad side.
Yep. Your
bad
side.
One of the things, I'll give you a scenario. I had a conversation with my dad today about this very thing. And people, when we talk about tradition versus the opportunity to capitalize on new money, it's like a manager that worked at a company that he'd been enrolled for a good little minute. The company decides that they want to elevate and move things in a different direction. So they go and hire this other guy that, ain't, this outside guy, quote unquote, got a track record of success. They put him in role. This man comes along, and in a short period of time, the morale is up high. The turnover has gone down. The production and the sales have shot through the roof. But here's the thing, Swag. That same manager is still with the company. He just got another role. Yeah. So immediately, because there's progress in a very short period of time under this new leadership, it's going to automatically highlight what wasn't done under the other one, just by mere fact of those two things kind of colliding at the same time.
Right.
I had the perspective of, this is what I said. Well, some people with the quote unquote tradition is tending to be like that old manager. My dad told me, I never thought about this. He said, well, I wouldn't look at it that way. He said there is a way that both parties can exist and be happy at the same time. He said that those that came before Dion laid the foundation for what he was able to walk into Jackson State and do. So don't feel some type of way that this man can take us to the next level. It's a lot of things that were working that actually worked in our favor. Things
What?
like attendance, things like a lot of the things that makes us look
So
like we can be the first to make that jump.
Ken, let me ask you this.
So
Let me ask you
go
this.
ahead.
So what would you want to see done that could appease both parties? Like, what do you think could be done to appease both parties?
So there is no. So here's the thing: when we talk about tradition, I just ask people what exactly is it that they're talking about. Like I want them to be specific on what they mean by tradition. Are we talking about rivalry games? Are we talking about, you know? I think the only way you can really, because let's be real about something. The only way Jackson State can move up is you got to be invited,
Mm-hmm.
or you got to move up collectively. So that's why I say everybody has to make sure that they are, when they're talking about this conversation, we're dealing with in reality. It's not like we can just walk out the door tomorrow and make phone calls and say, hey, we want to come to your conference. You have to get an invitation.
Yeah.
So here's all I would say: to preserve tradition, more than likely, you're going to have this, because we're talking about his statement. His statement was, because of the realignment, some of the quote unquote prominent HBCUs will be faced with decisions to make on whether they are going to have to go on the side of just being tradition, or do they want to land themselves in a space where they can be more financially stable than what we've historically, because there is a lot of more. We always talk about the financial gaps with moving up to FBS, but there's a lot of money on that side too, and that's a whole other conversation for another day. So here's all I can say: I'll give you two scenarios. One scenario, first scenario is if you move up as a collective, and by collective I mean in four or more institutions at the same time. Because if you go by yourself, that's the thing that a lot of people are afraid of, because you say a lot of people gave North Carolina A&T and T and Hampton and them a lot of slack about leaving the MEAC, going to the CAA or the Big South, right? So what took place is this: you see Jackson State pull out. I don't expect Jackson State to leave by itself, or they're either gonna leave. Let's say they go 1 year ahead of. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
But here's what you have to do: you have to be getting your house in order. We say luck is when what preparation meets opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is all he was saying. We're having conversations now, and a conversation could be just as simple as, hey, do you see what's going on? How do you think that's going to affect us?
I think.
Okay, if this happens, are we going to do this? Or you know what I'm saying? It's just a conversation.
Yeah. I think.
So
I think what people
you
are,
got
are
go ahead.
afraid. I think what people are afraid of. So the negative I see is, okay,
Yep.
Jackson State joins the FBS conference. Um. So to keep your fan base excited and wanted to go to the games, these other bands that's gonna come. There's gonna be a core style band. They're gonna be playing their
Uh huh.
rock songs, a totally different chord. You're
Uh
gonna
huh.
have white fans on the other side. It's gonna be a totally
No, no,
different. It's gonna be a totally different vibe. So I think a lot of them
I give you.
are afraid of that camaraderie that we've had, that family atmosphere that we had for so long, that would go away.
Yep.
And then you have to
So
understand.
here's how.
Hold on, let me finish this. So then you have to understand
Go
that
ahead.
if we go to a conference, or if Jackson State goes to a conference that doesn't have well-known brands, you might not get the fan base
Mhm.
to show up and show out like they have been doing. Now, like, for example, the Big 12, a conference like that could work. Now, I'm not saying that Jackson State gonna go to the Big 12. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the
You better
brands.
fix that early,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. Let me, because people gonna say, "Oh, you said they go to." No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the brands in the Big 12, the Kansas, Baylor, uh, you know,
Uh
uh,
huh.
Ohio. I mean, not Ohio State, but Oklahoma State. These are brands that Black people know. you know, so
I
if
got you.
if we played those schools, they would go to those games in droves. But Texas Tech,
Okay.
I mean Texas State, who else? Man, you can ULM. Well, we showed up at ULM, but they was close in proximity. But you got these other schools like Texas State and all these other schools in the Conference USA
No,
that
I
don't
got you.
nobody really know.
I'm with you.
So it'll be
So
hard.
let me challenge you on it.
Go ahead.
Let me challenge that thought process. So there are some teams that we play in our conference right now that we don't show up for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying when we talk about culture and tradition, usually what we talking about, SWAC, is we talking about them schools that we know, like our rivals, that we get excited for. At Jackson State, we talk about the Southern, we talk about homecoming, we talk about Alcorn. Maybe Grambling, what hasn't been on our schedule, Grambling will get that game.
Yeah.
But man, ain't nobody talking about going to the Texas Southern game. Yeah, they might want to go see Andrew Body now, but Texas Southern, we play Texas Southern in Houston. I mean, we'll show up. We get a really good core of fans. And see, our fan base is an outlier when it comes to like traveling, and there's only a handful that actually do that. So when you're talking about that, all I'm saying is this: there are several games that we play at the vet. Well, when we play a SWAC school, they don't even bring their band, and they might bring 1,000 people.
That's true.
I'm just saying, how many times do you see the vet look like that, where the whole side that you see is all Jackson State people, and whoever we playing against, about 1,000 people, they didn't bring the band, or they bring 2,000 people maybe, and they bring their band. I mean, okay, those games, and I'll even challenge our fans, because a lot of our fans be like, "No, I ain't gonna go to that one, man. I'm gonna just chill. I might watch it on,
Yeah.
I keep up with the score." I'm saying, like, if we being real about it, I don't think that you lose your tradition, because here's the thing. Okay, let's say there is an opportunity, and this is what we got to be intentional about what we're saying. Here's what we're saying: as the as the Pac-12 depletes, the Pac-12 is gonna take from the Mountain West. The Mountain West is gonna take from somebody. The Big 12 is gonna take from somebody, and usually who they're gonna lose is gonna be the Conference USA, Sun Belt, and the American Conference. Are probably gonna be the teams that's gonna lose the most teams, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what you might see take place is, let's use the American Conference as just as an example. Let's say the American Conference, we could say, or you could use Conference USA, but I want to use American Conference. Let's say they get to a place where they got 7 teams left, 6, 7 teams left, and they say, you know what? Um, what if I go and take the HBCU approach, and I need 4 schools? I'm gonna go and pitch to A&T. I'm gonna go and pitch to Southern, FAMU, and Grambling. I mean, in Jackson State. I'm just saying, if they come and if we're ready and we're able to make that jump, now here's what a conference can do. A conference can say, okay, because I want your brand in my conference, I'm willing to help you kind of close some of those gaps a little quicker.
Yeah.
Because what we also got, we only talk about TV money. We don't talk about the playoff payouts. There's a playoff payout that each conference gets. American gets 27 million. That's divvied amongst their schools. You know what FCS schools get? About 270 some thousand. And that's
Yeah.
every single FCS school across the board. It ain't a lot of money that's coming our way in this particular aspect of it. So, okay, if you do that, you're not going to be playing a full American Conference schedule. You're going to have maybe let's say you have a 7-game mandate where you're going to play 7 teams out of that conference. It might be 6, I don't know. But if it's that, then they give you an opportunity to schedule. Let's say you got to schedule 6 FBS opponents, and then you can schedule, let's say 7 FBS opponents. You can schedule maybe another out of conference FBS opponent, but then you can schedule whatever when it comes to FCS.
Yeah.
So the way you capture that tradition is you take those same HBCUs that moved up to FBS, make sure you can get them on your schedule, so you preserve the tradition of those games. Let's say we, in this situation, FAMU, Jackson State, Tennessee State, and A&T, just for the example purposes. Those are the 4 schools that jump. If you guarantee us that we can get the same, we're gonna get those 3 games on our schedule for sure. So that's 3 HBCU games, and from an out of conference standpoint, I could maybe schedule Alcorn, and I could schedule Southern. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is there is a scenario. It's just that we don't know what that would be, because we don't really have a real thing. We're just dealing with hypothetical. The other scenario is if Jackson State move up by itself, and that's when you kind of get in there. You got to really just kind of weigh it. We'll have a decision to make. Do we take that? And the only thing I would say is, if you have that opportunity and you're ready to do it, why not do it? Because here's what I'll challenge everybody on. We're already on that level on every single other sport that we play. Why are we so attached to FCS? Why is it that we act like we feel like in FBS? There's a lot of history in that, and we're gonna cover that on our show. We got a show that we about to drop, but we're gonna go into a part two of
That's a
I can
good
talk with the
question.
1400 Club for those that don't know. But we're gonna expound a little bit further. And
So
I'll say this one last thing, and I'll let you jump in.
okay, go ahead.
There's a all right. Go ahead. No, you go. You go.
No, I was
I'll
I
leave
was
that. I'll
I
leave
was
that
I
alone.
was
I'll
gonna
leave that alone.
ask you if Jackson State did move up, what conference do you actually see a realistic option as a realistic option?
Sun Belt,
You know what? That's what I've been
the
thinking.
Sun Belt,
That's what I've
Con-
been thinking. That's
Sun
what I
Belt Conference USA or American.
I've been thinking. If I think if Dion or Coach Prime was to make that move, it would probably be the Sun Belt because
Yeah, I
G,
mean, the Sun
G
Belt realistically, logistically makes
yeah,
the most sense.
yeah,
I mean, they got some good brands over there in the Sun Belt. I
yeah.
mean, I just think it'll be different. It will be different. Change is a part of it, but I mean, we would just have to really look at it and see if we get an offer from the Sun Belt. We have to really just kind of break it down. Are they only offering us, or are they offering another HBCU? Ideally, what we want, bro, is we want to go with we want to go with some of our our brother and sister institutions, man.
Yeah.
We don't, you don't really kind of want to make that jump by yourself. You damn sure don't want to go independent because when FAMU tried to do it in the past, they went the independent route, and that wasn't a good plan. But if there's an opportunity, we can say, you know what, I don't mind coming to your conference, but I need to take my. See, this is where negotiations come into play. Okay, you want the Jackson State brand? Well, shit, you got to take FAMU. I need to be able to roll with Tennessee State, FAMU, and North Carolina A&T. What's up? Am I my brother's keeper or not? And you can't sit there. I'm not saying that everybody's gonna be ready, but I'm just saying if they came to the place and they say, well, I want to come, if you want the HBCU brand, hey, I don't want to enter this by myself. Will our administration, our leadership say that? I don't know, but I'm saying there is an opportunity where you can say, well, we'd like to go with some other institutions, from our conference that we think, we want to preserve the integrity of some classic rivalry games in our culture. We'll join this conference and do what we need to do, but we'd rather go with these other two or three schools. And if they need multiple schools, why not go to HBCU route? So that's all I'm saying. That's why I say everybody just relax because it's just a hypothetical. In a hypothetical, you can really play it how you want to play it. But the
Okay.
only thing I'm challenging folks is to just think you don't necessarily have to, throw the baby out with the bathwater in every scenario that comes up
Yeah.
about us moving up to FBS. There's a multitude of ways to do this in a way that lines us up, preserve culture, and make money. Why we can't do it all?
Okay. So
Or we can move up our conference as a whole.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So when I think about things like this, I always try to think of every negative problem that could arise.
Yep.
Um. So if that happened, you're gonna have some of these FCS schools that's been FCS for a while, that's been wanting to go to FBS. They're gonna raise hell because if a bunch of HBCUs leapfrog the process and go FBS, from the jump like that. So, do
Well,
you
I don't.
think that would
You can't
impact
leapfrog the
anything?
process.
I mean, some of them probably
Well, I
would feel
mean,
like that if they've been wanting to go to FBS for a minute, and then because of who our schools are,
I mean, you
we're
can
able to just go
you,
ahead
you
and
can
do it.
want to go. You can want to go, but you got to get an invitation.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like you can't enter no conference without it being signed off. Now, what all that looks like, I can't really give every detail to what it looks like, but I do know it all starts with an invitation. I'll just say that for that matter. But
hmm
let me say this, man, because I wasn't gonna say it. We're gonna talk about this. So back in 1993, they had a situation where the NCAA and the Division One Single A was trying to reduce the number of scholarships with all FCS Division One AA schools. And there was a meeting that was held on our institute on our campus when W.C. Gordon was our athletic director. You had Jackson State, you had Tennessee State, you had Southern, and you had I want to say FAMU and Marino Cassim. You had W.C. Gordon and the other four ADs. And we were in talks because this is what they were saying. They were saying they were going to reduce our scholarships from 65 to 45. Okay. This is historical data. Now, what W.C. Gordon and company said was, if y'all going to reduce our scholarships from 65 to 45, then what we're going to do is we're going to make the jump up to FBS, because that'll give us 80. They say, well, there's no way we can compete competitively with 45 scholarships.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, if you do your history, if you look at your history, that's how we got from 65 to 63. Okay. And the question that was posed was, well, can Jackson State really afford to fund 85 scholarships? And W.C. Gordon's response was, before these rules were in place, we gave out as many as 95 scholarships. This is the history. So listen, this ain't nothing new, bro. Listen, it wasn't just Jackson State, Southern, FAMU, and Tennessee State. This was also in conjunction with North Carolina A&T, South Carolina State. It was a total of like 8 schools. And what we were going to do is we were going to form our own conference.
Appreciate that
We
donation.
was going to form our own. Huh?
No, I was just telling Mara Bazaar, appreciate that donation. Go ahead, Ken.
Oh yeah. No. So that's in the history book. They met in our Hall of Fame room in 1993, and that was the threat. And the threat was, if y'all take our scholarships away, we go on FBS. So instead, they didn't vote. There was a vote that had to pass that was going to basically reduce the FCS, or the Division I single A school, one AA school, down to 45 scholarships. So here's all I'm saying. There was already talks about HBCUs moving up to FBS, man, almost 30 years ago. And the only thing that stopped us from doing it was that they decided not to reduce them scholarships. So we got comfortable with staying on the FCS level because they didn't reduce us from 65 to 45. They only dropped us down to 63. Just look at the history. Matter of fact, we're going to do a show on that, because we're going to do a part 2 of history repeats itself on Tiger Talk with the 1400 Club. We're about to go into that aspect of it, because I think that it's important that we know our history when having this conversation. This is our rightful place, bro.
Yeah, and y'all did a phenomenal show last week.
Go ahead.
Y'all did a phenomenal show. What was that last week? So yeah, y'all make sure y'all.
Matter of fact, we about to record tonight.
Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe and follow them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just telling the people that's listening, they should subscribe to you all. Go ahead and plug your platform so they'll know how to get to it.
Yeah, it's follow at Tiger Talk 1400. That's TIGERTALK 1400. And man, all we trying to do is just give the real context. Listen, I'm gonna leave on this, man. It's only one. Saying what you don't have is a very short conversation. There's only so many ways you can say, well, we ain't got it and we can't do it. But when you're talking about doing something that ain't never been done before, there's an unlimited amount of possibilities to close those gaps. All you have to decide is what's important to you, and you know what I'm saying, which brings us to your conversation right now. Is it tradition? And I'm saying it can be both.
Hold on, Ken. Let me get this straight right here. Bernard Green, knock it off. Knock it off. I've been seeing your comments. Knock it off. Cause you can get up out of here.
Oh yeah, we'll do.
All right, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, we don't do the goofy stuff,
man.
Yeah. No. That's it, man. I mean, people get emotional, man, and what takes place is, man, people just get. We got to stop disguising tradition with, complacency with tradition. Because the same things that people are crying about when it comes to tradition, I can turn right around and challenge you on that. I mean that. It's just that, there are already a bunch of games we don't attend and we don't care nothing about. The average HBCU fan go to 3 games a year.
Right.
Somebody tell me that I'm lying. And I live in California and I go to almost 7-8 games a year because I made a concerted effort to do that. Now I know that everybody ain't capable. But if you live in Jackson, Mississippi, and you claim to be a JSU fan on a Saturday afternoon, man, you ought to be at that stadium if you can. Now, if you can't, I understand. If you're an alum that lives out of state, I understand. But this whole mentality of I'm just going to just resist just because I don't feel like changing or I don't want to do the work that's required to change. Listen, all I'll say is this. You do the work that's necessary to move up, and if the opportunity never presents itself, you still gonna be better off than you started. What's wrong with trying to be better, bro? Why are we so fucking? Why we scoff so much at the ideal of progression? I personally, if you want to know my honest opinion, I would love because I made the tweet. I said it's time for our HBCU Blue Bloods to form our own super conference. I want an HBCU super conference on the FBS level because I want us to tap into the monies that's available. But
Yeah.
all you get is what we can't do and why we can't do it. A bunch of excuses on why we can't be. I know we
And
got to
that
raise our endowment. I
and
know
that
we got to
bugs me,
donate
man.
more. I know we got. I know.
That bugs me
But what my
when I
question
hear
is,
all that I
why
can't.
can't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
definitely
but here's the one thing I'll say this:
go
people,
ahead.
man, you can't ignore Deion Sanders if you're in the Jackson State, if you follow Jackson State, because this man is closing gaps in a very fast manner. And it's like for us, it's coming out of the sky because we ain't got a hand in a lot of the shit that's going on at our school because we ain't putting in on it. I mean, we donate, but let's be real. That man donated half of his salary to finish the damn players line. That's gonna have videos, games, and TVs and Xbox and PlayStation and shit in there.
Yeah.
That's a facility upgrade. People want to talk about Jackson State budget. Oh, JSU budgeted $8 million. Well, let me ask you a question, budget expert. How many coaches does Jackson State have on their staff? Don't worry, I'll wait because I can tell you the exact number, and I can also tell you that we got about 15 more personnel that's on payroll right now that we didn't have on the previous regime. You tell me where that's coming from because they ain't over there for free. They're getting paid. So I'm telling you, I'll challenge you on your budget talk when it comes to Jackson State. Make sure you get the right figures because we got more coaches, we got more equipment staff, we got more training staff, we got more analysts, and we got more strength and conditioning coaches.
Right.
So my question is, who's closing the gap and how do you do it? If you put, and everybody ain't got a Deion Sanders, but you got to account for Deion Sanders and the magnitude of how he's been able to close the gap very fast. So when that man talks, he's talking in a means of having a plan. He ain't just talking, he ain't pissing in the air hoping he don't get wet, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The man is calculated and he's gonna put us in a good position, and it's up to us if we decide to cash in on that. If we don't, we'll stay where we at and we'll keep doing what we've been doing. But we always want to talk about the heyday of JSU. We ain't put a damn doorknob on the building when we was winning. Let's just call it what it is. I'm all about accountability. I'm talking about accountability internally.
And it's only been a year. A year of some change, and he's made all these changes already. So they can't
we can go. We can do a whole show on what this man has done in a short period of time.
Right.
And what we want to talk about is the good old days in the 80s, 40 years ago, then the 90s, and we ain't made no upgrades, man, until this man got there. We did a little bit of things, and I'm not trying to insult nobody. I'm just saying, stop getting mad at the man that flipped the light switch on, and get mad at the people, at us who was in there acting like we had cleaned up. No, when he flipped the light switch on, it just showed us just how far off we were. And now he's going about being an active change. So when it comes to this opportunity to move up, man, we got to cash in if we get that opportunity. And if it works, I love what you said. Hell, if it don't work, we'll go back. Right. Somebody will take us.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
So,
but I think we go down swinging.
So do you think the hate that, well, I ain't gonna say hate, the negativity that Coach Prime gets, is it from a jealous standpoint, or do you think it's jealousy?
Some of it is.
Because I
because
seen somebody complain about him even giving the kids the money, half his salary. I seen somebody complain about that on Twitter.
I already knew. I told Zoe this today. I said, Zoe,
I couldn't believe that.
Hell, he should have gave all of it. Somebody gonna say he should have gave all of it.
I could not.
Somebody gonna say, why he take us out? Why he getting paid anyway? He already rich. Man, we can't. Bruh, there are certain people that's in our community that's they're just set on opposition. I call them opposite guy. That's just who they are. I don't care. Hell, if you really want to make them mad, then just say everything that they saying, and then they'll switch their saying to say, if he say, no, we don't need to move up, we need to stay. They gonna start saying, you know what, we need to move up. You know, trying to hold us back because that's just what they do.
Yeah.
I ain't got no substance. Just resist.
Right.
I mean, actually, this. Tell all the complainers and those that got everything to say about what's happening to counter what he's saying and doing with more, give a better alternative. Don't just complain and say hell no. No, counter it with substance.
Yeah.
Don't just resist it and just be poo poo it just because you want to. But there is a jealous element, and maybe and they got to speak to that. I'm not a jealous hearted person, but I think one thing I ain't even gonna say why, but I will say a lot of people that have found a lot of success in our community tend to give dealt a lot of nastiness from our own.
Mm-hmm.
We just you know we just ain't. A lot of people look at Dion as an outsider because he's but that man he got it out the mud, man. He earned everything he got.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He didn't just nobody just gave it to him. He cashed in on his gift. He's a master marketer, and he made the world that he live in, man. So you know
I
he's an
appreciate.
outsider that's coming in here trying to tear our tradition down. Man, come on, man.
Yeah.
We got to stop that.
Yeah, we do.
That ain't how that go. But anyway, man, I ain't mean to hijack your show. I
No,
wanted to
you
call
good,
in,
man.
man,
You good.
and,
I appreciate
and
you calling
give you
in,
some
man.
love, man.
You know, I love y'all
Yes,
show. I
sir.
love y'all platform. Make sure you plug it
Man, I
again so they'll
appreciate you,
know where to
brother.
follow you again. Go ahead and
Man, they
plug.
tap in, man. I ain't gonna go in the comments. I learned to stop going in the comments.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to stress my damn self out with what people got to say. You just say
Yeah.
what you say, and I stand on facts. Like I said, feel free to hit me up if you got anything. You can inbox me. My Twitter wide open, man. It say Ken Clark.
Okay.
It's wide. Ken Clark 1400 on Twitter, man, and IG. So look
All
me
right.
up, hit me up, whatever, man. But appreciate what you're doing, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna run. I am running a little late because I got
All
to
right.
get started. But all love, brother.
All right. Thank you for the call.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Let me get this other caller. What's going on, caller? You live? Talk to me.
It's Gabriel from Memphis, Tennessee. What's going on,
What's
bud?
going on, Gabriel?
Oh, not too much, man. Just enjoying the show tonight, and I was just listening to your previous call. He was hitting on some valid points, man.
Mm-hmm.
And what everybody needs to sometimes SWAC fans can be really, really kind of fickle, like you say, they want to keep the tradition, keep everything going, but at the same time get mad when we don't get, TV views on ESPN and stuff like that, or not getting any players drafted to the NFL. What this past season, I think we only had one player from the SWAC to get drafted. I think, and that's James Houston. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
Okay. So now, I think the last time before then was like what, 2002, something like that.
Yeah, it had been a minute.
So,
No, we had
right.
one to get drafted in the first round in 2019. I want to say the guy from Alabama State,
Okay.
Titus Howard. So, but to have like
Okay.
4 like that, I think it's been a while since we had 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the thing of it is this right here. Um, we have got to play, better competition. We got to get that exposure going, which is prime, which is what Prime trying to do in order to get players drafted, get players looked at and drafted. Now, I had mentioned it once before, Prime got in his contract that if he get Jackson State moved up to the FBS, I mean, I know he'll get a bigger pay cut, stuff like that. But he was saying that, if he's gonna stick around, that's how Jackson State get to keep him, is by moving up. And then, like he was saying in the interview yesterday, they already having these conversations.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna, like the last dude was saying, I'm not saying it's gonna happen within the next 2 to 3 years, but it's going to happen. Jackson State gonna move up, and I don't think they're going by themselves. Probably like FAMU, Tennessee. Maybe like invite Tennessee State in, and maybe like Carolina AT&T. Like the last dude was saying.
Yeah.
And I do agree. I think American Athletic Conference, Conference USA, and maybe Sun Belt. One of those three. And that way, like I said, they can get some TV time. They can get the competition that's needed for the NFL, to take HBCU more seriously,
Yeah.
and that's the whole thing. We heading into a renaissance. What you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I think that I I like the fact that you take the blue blood HBCUs, Tennessee State, North Carolina A&T, heck, you could even throw Hampton in there. Take those
Mm-hmm.
schools, Southern Grambling, FAMU, take those schools up with Jackson State, and then
Right.
join the conference and kind of marriage the two different cultures, pretty much. So you just want to have
Right.
straight PWIs to play all the time, and you'll still have your culture coming with you.
Exactly. That way, like you said, that way we playing the PWI, but at the same time we playing our SWAC rivals too. Everybody happy.
Yeah, yeah. But I got other callers. I'm gonna get them on. I appreciate you calling, Gabriel.
All right, man. Be easy.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. All right, Mr. Ford, I'm gonna get to you in just a moment. I'm gonna get this other person on, and then I'm gonna get you on, Mr. Ford. What's going on, caller? You live? Talk to me.
Hey, how you doing? My name Courtney.
What's
I'm
going on,
calling
Courtney?
in.
What's going on?
Not much. I think Jackson State and Dion they have a ceiling on where they can go to a different conference. In my opinion, I'm not hating on anything like that.
Yeah.
I think a Power Five conference is out of reach for Jackson State because just population wise, Mississippi is what maybe 3 million people, if that, in the state of Mississippi, and Jackson is maybe 150,000 in the city tops.
Who's been saying that they need to go Power Five though? I haven't
No,
heard
no,
too
no, no,
much
no.
about Power Five.
I'm not saying they need to go Power Five. I'm just saying if they was trying to go to a Power Five, I think it's not in the large enough city to go like far as the Big 12, the ACC, and the Pac-12. Those conferences is looking to make a splash.
So
the Pac-12 lost.
Starkville and Oxford.
No,
they're big cities.
But Starkville. How long has Mississippi State been in the SEC?
Been there for years.
A long time. Yeah, exactly my point. So the Pac-12 just lost USC and UCLA. So that's a lot. That's the second largest in New York as far as media market. So if they would make a splash, I think they would. Because I did look at an article, about an hour ago, and it was talking about a Big 12, Pac-12 merger.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I don't think that's gonna happen. But
the Big 12. No, well, I was just saying that possibly it could happen because the Big 12 lost its two most marketable teams, Oklahoma, Texas. Pac-12 lost UCLA, USC. Yeah, I mean, I see it could happen. And some of those schools is pretty, it's not a terrible plane flight going from Texas to California or Washington or anything like that. And Jackson State is definitely not going to the ACC because it makes no sense to even, well, I don't think they would even.
You still talking about Power Five? You still talking about Power Five?
Yeah, but
most people are talking about Sun Belt Conference USA.
I think they could fit in with like maybe the Sun Belt or Conference USA.
Yeah, that's what mainly people been saying. Like
whatever conference. I can't remember what conference UAB and Southern Miss. No, South Alabama.
Southern Miss is in Sun Belt.
What other team? Okay, like what I was saying, it's like Sun Belt or UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham, South Alabama, something like that. What's the other team? Memphis. I mean, I could see them going to like one of that type of conference. I think it's a ceiling on how far they can go. Because no, it takes a lot to move up to a Power 5. You know, you got to have hundreds of millions of dollars to invest into facilities, and this, and I'm not even talking about not just football, it's all other sports. Like people just say move up to Power 5, but you also got to think about the other sports that will be involved in. You know, the baseball team, the softball team, track and field, and everything else.
Yeah.
Swim team. You know, I think you have to have like 16 sports to move up to FBS.
Yeah, 16. But Jax, they got 18 though, so they already got that covered. But I got other callers.
No,
I'm gonna get to them.
All right.
I appreciate you calling. Thank you for calling. All right, let me get to the next caller. All right, what's going on? Call you live.
Hey, this is Mr. Ford. SWAC, let me know. My house is kind of noisy because my wife is looking at her movies.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Jerome, I'm gonna get to you next. I'm gonna get to you next, Jerome.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Ford.
Listen, first and foremost, I want to express my condolences. I think his name Rashad. He was the Jackson State defensive back who went to the Carolina Panthers. I think he died this week. Was it Rashad Anderson?
Yeah.
I think his name. Yeah, I want to express my condolences to his family. I actually came down from Atlanta many, many years ago to see Rashad and a guy named Sylvester Morris. They were playing against Howard University. This is when Howard University had Ted White. Do you remember Ted White? Ted is now the quarterback coach for the Houston Texans. But he was a big-time HBCU quarterback. He was getting all kind of recognition. And so they put a game together. Howard came down to Jackson. Jackson had Seal Morris and Rashad Anderson. And Rashad was eventually drafted, I think, by the Carolina Panthers. And, hey, how's it going, Mr. Humphreys? And Seal Morris, somebody correct me, I think he went to the Kansas City Chiefs. Is that right? Some of you old heads from Jackson State. Where did Sylvester Morris go? But Sylvester, I believe, was from New Orleans. Rashad was from Jackson. But they were big time. Yeah, that's right. There you go, HBC over Ted. They called him Sweet Flight White. He was out of Glen Oaks High School in Baton Rouge. That's where he was from. He was from Baton Rouge. Yeah. But I wanted to express my condolences to Rashad Anderson's family. One thing, now let me just tell you this. I love when Ken Clark is on. I love to hear him speak. And I want to say to Mr. Clark, awesome. Kudos. You always do a great job. And I'm like him. What I want to see, number one, is a black HBCU super conference. But I do not want Jackson State or any of these other schools to join them white conferences, because you know what I always say about that.
Yeah, I knew you was gonna be on the other side.
Our house to be a they house. We've done enough of that now. Mm-hmm. That's how America was built. We gave them free labor for almost 400 years, and then after the free labor was over, we gave them cheap labor. So it's time for us to do for ourselves. But I agree with Mr. Clark about the black college. I mean the HBCU super conference. Because I'm gonna say this again, y'all.
So
we got to say to MEAC, we got to say, them people over there, in the administration over there in the MEAC, they don't have a clue. I'm serious. They don't have a clue. Right. You're right, Imperial Nubia. That's right. I want CIAA, MEAC, SWAC, and SIAC to combine. That would be the HBCU super. Come on.
So you wouldn't want to see the 6 big HBCU schools go to like a LBS conference that's already established. So you're totally against that.
What?
Okay.
Well,
I just want people to understand your point.
Listen, I'm old enough to remember when integration came in. See, when I started school, all my teachers were black. Okay, mm-hmm. And then when integration came in, I basically never had no more black teachers. Okay. The other thing I remember about integration was, like they say about the businesses, all the black people took their money to the white businesses and they let the black businesses fall. But please keep this in mind, guys. Let me just tell you this. I'm old enough to remember this. The worst thing that happened to us was not integration. The worst thing that happened to us as a race or ethnicity came in the 80s when them people put crack on us. Baby, I saw crack destroy black families and the black community. I'm just going to tell you. Because I used to think that integration was the worst thing that happened to us. It was the introduction of crack cocaine. Okay. Give me another question. What you got?
So you would have people that's going to push back on that and say, that was a long time ago. We need to get off of this. We can't do what they do and be with them because we want to keep everything in house when the house that we're in has been struggling. So
okay, now let me tell you this. You want me to answer that for you?
Let
me just tell you this. See, the position, always remember this about life. It ain't nothing new under the sun. Okay? Ain't nothing new under the sun. This position that Jackson State finds itself in as the #1 black university and all that. Listen, I remember when it was Tennessee State. And after Big John Merritt died in 1983, they made all the wrong decisions. Instead of joining the SWAC or the MEAC, they decided that they wanted to go OVC. After 30-some years, look where Tennessee State is at. Look at them. Last year, Tennessee State got 8,000 to 9,000 students. They couldn't get 2,000 people to come to their game. The biggest game they had was their homecoming game. They had 8,000 people. I'm saying, learn from the past. I hope that Jackson State, because I love Jackson State. Don't get me wrong. I like that brother said, Clark said, I love what Dion is doing. See, to me, Dion has made it better for Grambling. Dion has made it better for FAM. Dion has made it better for Southern. Because like Clark was saying, listen, the last time we were able to get the kind of athletes we get now had to be the 70s or the early 80s. We getting quality athletes. I think somebody told me last week that FAMU got 6 big-time players. I don't know if it was 6. I think it was 6. But we got 6 players last week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all I'm saying is I want the HBCU Super Conference, but I need for us to stay. I don't want these schools to desert these black conferences.
All right, so
okay,
Jerome is on the other line, and I know he's going to be on the other side of this. So let me put him on. Hold on just a second.
Okay, come on.
What's going on, Carly Live? Talk to me.
Hey, what up, man? So, yeah, this is Jerome from Charlotte.
Yeah.
I totally agree, with everything that Mr. Ford, just said. I'm totally in favor of an HBCU Super Conference for all of those reasons he listed, and then some. But let me ask you, so when it comes to becoming an FBS program, are we actually privy to what the requirements are to be an FBS program? Aside from, of course, I think the NCAA instituted rule, you got to have at least 15,000 fans, like an average of 15,000 fans, the previous season or the previous 3 seasons. But are there like any academic requirements that it takes? Because I know when the idea was put out there about Jackson State getting an invite to the Big Ten, people were saying, we're not a fit because most of those schools in the Big Ten are R1 institutions and we're R2. But Mr. Ford or SWAC Buzz, are you guys privy to any other requirements?
Well, the only requirements I've been able to see is 15,000 capacity stadium, 15,000 average attendance on a 2-year rolling period, where every 2 years, and you have to have 16 sports. So that's the only thing. That's the only. If you Google the requirements, that's what you'll be able to find. But go ahead, Mr. Ford.
Yeah. Now, here's the whole thing with this FBS is that we don't have that kind of money. I told you the average school in FBS is spending $66 million. You're talking about University of Texas, they spending over $200 million. You're talking about Texas A&M, they spending over $200 million. You're talking about the University of Georgia, they spending $180 million. Listen, $180 million will run about 3 or 4 SWAC schools. We don't have that kind of money.
But Mr. Ford, you're gonna have people that's gonna say we're gonna raise that money though.
And let me just make this point right here. See, let me make this point. I need y'all to get me on this.
Go ahead.
See, what we're doing, a lot of us, because first of all, I need y'all to understand this whole thing with the Big Ten and the SEC, that's nothing but Fox and ESPN flexing their muscle. That's who controls the Big Ten, and that's who controls the SEC.
That's true.
Now, most of y'all don't know, but last year the SEC actually, the ESPN actually tried to destroy the Big 12. And the reason they wanted to destroy the Big 12 so they could get Oklahoma and Texas into the SEC as soon as possible. Now, what is happening with us? I'm going to say this, and some of you going to understand it and some of you not. There's an old saying, envy not the oppressor. And that's what a lot of us are doing. We're envying the oppressor. Then there's another saying. It says, go not the way of the Gentile. Okay? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to follow them people. We need to leave them people alone. Them people don't mean us no good. Those people are our enemies. I don't know why we can't understand that. That's why I said earlier, I'm so sick of us always leaving our house to go and build somebody else's house. Listen, we were slaves for 311 years. Okay? Then we did all that Jim Crow stuff. That was what they call cheap labor.
See.
When we going to look out for us, number one? Now, somebody, and SWAC, you asked a good question. You asked Mr. Clark, you said, why is there such jealousy? The reason all that jealousy, it's not jealousy, it's self-hatred. We got so much self-hatred for one another. When you talk to, listen, here in Atlanta, you know, we got the Greek community, we got the Irish community, we got the Korean community, we got the Japanese community. Anybody would tell you, when you go and look at all them ethnicities and you sit down and analyze them, nobody hates each other worse than black folk. When you go to the Japanese community in Atlanta, you think they shooting each other like we shooting each other every day? When you go to the Korean community, are they shooting each other like we shooting each other every day? No, they not. So right, well, that was a good question, but it's not jealousy. It's self-hatred. That's what it is. It's self-hatred.
Let me stop you real quick, Mr. Ford. So this new generation that we have in school, these young kids that we have in school right now, see, what you just said is foreign to them. They have their white friends now. They're very much inclusive now. It's the inclusion thing going on. So when they hear that talk, it's gonna go over their heads because they're gonna be like, "Oh, that was so long ago." You're harboring this hatred for no. There are racist people in this country. There is racism in America, but you're gonna have people that are gonna say, "Let's not hurt ourselves from getting a blessing." Thinking about racism the whole time. So what would you say to that?
It's not. Let's see. Here's the thing. It's not that we hate anybody, but I know my history, and I know what has happened. See, I have studied us in the past. I've studied us presently, and because I know history, I can tell you what's going to happen in the future. I know a few things about what's going to happen in the future. But those kids you talking about that don't know, let them keep living. Because let me tell you something, when I was a little kid, there are a lot of things I know today I didn't know about it, but life taught me. And so I say to them kids that you say don't understand what I'm talking about, all I say is this, keep living, and you'll see.
One more point, SWAC Buzz.
Go ahead.
For the previous caller that called in and talked about, I guess, the population, I had the same conversation with folks on the MEAC. You got to understand, man, like most Power 5 schools, they're not necessarily located in the big city. You're talking about Starkville, Tuscaloosa, Rome, Georgia, Columbia, South Carolina. And then you look at the ACC, the whole Raleigh-Durham area, Virginia Tech, UVA, like all those schools, they're in small cities. Jackson is much bigger than those cities. So people got to take into account it's not necessarily the population of, the city to actually support the games. It's just more so a culture of that individual school. But hey, I'm totally, in agreement with Mr. Ford. I personally believe that if we're going to choose, like handpick certain schools to have an HBCU super conference, we need to make sure that those schools, aside from funding and aside from attendance, they have the operational piece. We're talking about APR and just the operations of an athletic department. We need to make sure these schools don't have a history of being in trouble with the NCAA. You know what I'm saying? Because all those things work hand in hand to make sure the conference is solvent. So, great show.
Well, and can I say this? Let me just say this. First of all, before we start talking about going FBS, we need to get the President's Council on to all of them presidents to buy in. Because let me tell you something. I got people right now from FAMU. They telling me that their president is a negative. I got people from Alcorn. They telling me their president is a negative. I got people from Prairie View up here. They're telling me that their president is a question mark. They don't know whether he's for athletics or whether he's not. They got a new president coming in at Southern. They don't know whether he's for athletics or against it. TSU's president, they feel that she's a negative. Okay, UPA, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, they feel that they really don't know where this person is. So this is what I'm saying. Like somebody said earlier.
Hold on, Carl. I'm going to introduce you in just a second.
We got to get our infrastructure online. We got to make sure everybody is on board. We got to make sure that everybody is buying in. Because like I just told you, see, success starts at the top. Okay, and I'm telling you now, I got people here in Atlanta who are heavily involved in, Atlanta any black school, they send their graduates to Atlanta, right? Okay, so here's the thing. I got these people telling me, listen, my president is not a plus. Mm-hmm. They telling me Frederick Humphreys was one of the greatest presidents that they ever witnessed as far as athletics is concerned.
Let me stop you real quick, Mr. Ford.
They saying that he's a negative.
Let me stop you real quick, Mr. Ford. That's what. Go ahead, Matthew. We got Matthew online. We're gonna see what Matthew had to say. What's going on, Matthew? Talk to me.
Hey, what's going on, SWAC Buzz? Appreciate what you do. This is Matthew from Minneapolis. Hey, what's going on, Mr. Ford?
Yeah, Mr. Ford's here.
Hey, how's it going now?
I'm good. I would like to know your opinion, SWAC Buzz, and Mr. Ford's opinion on some things that Dr. McClendon should be doing, in my opinion, and I'd like to know what y'all think about that.
Okay, Swag, but you want me to go first or you go?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, the first thing is that in our product, I've been screaming and hollering about this for the longest. We can't do this incompetent officiating like we did last year on national television. I need the officiating to improve. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I need him to go ahead on and put a plan together so that when it looks like the MEAC is about to drown, that he can save them. Okay, he got to do that now. We can't wait because it's coming now. It's coming. So I need for him to go ahead on and put together a plan on when the MEAC is thrown overboard and about to drown, how's he going to save them? Okay.
In your opinion, that mean Hampton, North Carolina, A&T, FAMU, and
now I don't think that. To be honest with you, I don't think North Carolina, A&T, or Hampton want to be a part of HBCU football. Now they might be classified as HBCUs, but I think they want to be in the CAA. That's there. But them schools like Norfolk, Howard, South Carolina State, and let me stop right here and say this to that school, Coppin State, and to that other school, Maryland Eastern Shore. If you can't get a football team going in 2 years, you need to get out of the MEAC and you need to go join the CIAA. It makes no sense for them two schools to be in the MEAC and you don't have a football team. So those schools, those 6 schools like Dale State and all of them, if we can save those schools, I would like for Dr. McClellan to start working on that right now. Because I'm telling you right now, I've given this lady a chance. I looked at it. They don't know what they're doing in the MEAC. Their administration, starting with Dr. Miss Steele and them, it's ridiculous.
Well, to answer your question, I think Dr. McClellan is doing a good job. But if he has this plan to move the SWAC up to the FBS level, we need to see something. The fans need to see something, some kind of action that's okay. This is what you want to do, and this is where we're going, to kind of keep the fans at ease that something's going on and something's on the horizon, that he's going to make change in the future. I think he needs to come out, even with a simple statement would do a lot to ease the fans, I guess, nerves a bit of what's going on, because you're hearing all this talk. You're hearing, what Coach Prime said. That has a lot of people worried that, if Jackson State left the SWAC by themselves, what is that going to do for the SWAC? That's going to hurt the SWAC. So a lot of people are scared of that. So I think he definitely needs to come out with a statement saying something to keep the fans' nerves calm.
How do y'all feel? And then my last question, and I'll get off. How do y'all feel about Dr. McClendon taking a more active role in terms of recruiting coaches to the SWAC? Like, for example, Rod Woodson, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's probably what he's gonna do anyway. If he wants to put celebrities at coaching positions in a SWAC, then I'm sure that he's gonna do that anyway. He's gonna seek these guys out and talk to them.
Just take an active role in terms of encouraging the schools. But yeah.
Well, now let me just say this. This is what I keep telling everybody. Mm-hmm. That man, Coach McKinney down at Texas Southern, he's on the clock. If he can't get it done this year with at least a winning season, I'd like to see Rod Woodson down at Texas Southern. I wouldn't have a problem with Ed Reed down at Texas. I wouldn't have a problem with Jay Hobson, who was the former championship coach at Alcorn. I'd like to see him. Same thing with Doc Gamble at Pine Bluff. If he can't get it done this year, I have no problem with Rod Woodson coming to Pine Bluff. I have no problem with Ray Lewis coming to Pine Bluff. Personally, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think the guy at Bethune-Cookman can go any farther. I would love to see Ray Lewis at a Bethune-Cookman. Or I would love to see Ed Reed at Bethune-Cookman.
That'd be a nice Ray Lewis at Bethune-Cookman or Ed Reed those would be some nice fits. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I appreciate the call, Matthew.
Appreciate that, Swag Buzz.
All right, thank you. Let me get this other call on. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
What's going on, Carly Live? Talk to me. Hello. What's going on?
Let's see.
Hey, can you turn the stream off in the background, because it's gonna loop back on the stream?
Bet that.
Okay.
All right.
What you got for me?
I was just thinking about this whole entire, shift of all these conferences and all, and I'm gonna be swift about it. And the thing about it is, it wasn't until Deion got down into Jackson State and started to stir up things, if you will, that the Power 5 conferences, if you will, that's when they started to merge, because all I see is just a united front. And to speak it biblically, I think we just need to come out from amongst them anyway. Why not have the SWAC and the MEAC start to consolidate all our resources together? Why not? Because my thing is joining up with the Power 5s. What do they have to offer us? It's just our talent still going into them. This is what they've been doing all along.
Yeah, that's true.
Can I add something to that?
Go ahead, Mr. Ford.
Can I say this? Okay, ESPN did a study a few years back, and what they found out was college football was only big in two parts of the country. It was really big in the South, and it was really big in the Midwest. What they found was that college football on the Eastern Seaboard was subpar. College football on the West Coast was subpar. The thing that really upset ESPN was that they gave the ACC all that money to start a network, and they had some of the most underachieving programs. Number one was Florida State. The other one was the University of Miami. One was the University of North Carolina. The other one was Virginia Tech. The other one was Syracuse. When they looked at the West Coast, the problem was the best program was in Eugene, Oregon. The TV networks hated that. They wanted the most competitive programs on the West Coast to be in the city of Los Angeles. But most of you know historically, ever since Carroll, his name was Pete Carroll, left Southern Cal and went to the Seattle Seahawks, the Pac-10 or the Pac-12 failed. And so, like I said earlier, when you look at what's happening with the Big Ten and with the SEC, it's nothing but ESPN and Fox basically showing their muscle. They're the ones that control that Power Five. Now, the other thing that I want y'all to keep in mind, and I said this, I think, last week, what they getting ready to do in the Power Five is that they're going to tell the NCAA to get lost. We don't need you. They're going to set up a commissioner over the Power Five, and it's going to be that man, Greg Sankey, who is the commissioner of the SEC. But I wish the day would come when we as HBCUs could tell the NCAA to get on too, because they've never done nothing to help us, but they've done everything they could to hurt us. But it all stemmed from a program. It stemmed from a program that college football was only big in the South and in the Midwest. Like I said, really, to be honest with you, Penn State ain't winning. Now, I know Joe Paterno went out in shame, but man, when you're talking about a program, Penn State had a program under Joe Paterno, okay? And they haven't been where they were at that time. This school, Virginia Tech, when they had that, I can't think of that coach's name. Ever since he left, they've just been underachieving. North Carolina, with all them people in the state of North Carolina, with all them athletes in the state of North Carolina, Chapel Hill football, the Tar Heel football is mediocre. It's mediocre. Florida State football, since Bobby Bowden, it's been terrible. University of Miami football, been awful. Okay? All of these schools are underachieving. Southern Cal, underachieving. But you're in the city of Los Angeles, the second largest city in America. UCLA, you're in the city of Los Angeles, but there you go. I'm sorry. You got it, Jordan. His name was Frank Beamer. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Derek. That's right, Frank Beamer. Ever since Frank Beamer left Virginia Tech, they've been the pits. Okay? So that's what they're doing. See, here's the thing that ESPN is telling and Fox is telling these students, bump you. You don't matter. What they want is just these teams. Because, see, I'm going to give you an example. University of Maryland, okay? Mm-hmm. University of Maryland, their students could drive to games to see University of Maryland versus North Carolina, University of Maryland versus Clemson, University of Maryland against North Carolina State. Guys, if the kids want to drive to the game, they got to drive from College Park, Maryland, all the way to Columbus, Ohio. They got to drive from College Park, Maryland to Ann Arbor, Michigan. Okay? They basically told the students, bump you. Okay? And so that's what I'm and now one of the things I want y'all to look out for, because the Fox has paid too much for them Big Ten games.
Let me add something. Let me add something real quick, Ms.
A lot of their people. Just watch it.
Ms. Ford, let me add something real quick. So I think a lot of people say they talk about the distance that these kids have to drive to go to the games. I think when it comes to these FBS schools, their thinking is that the away games are for that school. That's their home game, so their crowd is gonna fill the stadium. They don't care about the away team fans coming to the game. So I think that's why you see UCLA and USC is going to the Big Ten now. They don't care about the Big Ten crowd going over to the UCLA and USC crowd going to the Midwest to go to those games. They know that those stadiums are going to be filled. The Ohio State Stadium is going to be filled up with their fans, so they don't care about that. So I think that's their thing.
Here's the thing: if you're so far away that your students can't come to the game, that hampers your rivalry. Now you know this, right, bro? That's why Southern and Jackson State is one of the biggest games in the country. Mm-hmm. That's why Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman, one of the biggest games in the country. You can drive to the game. That's why Alabama State and Alabama A&M, that's one of the biggest games in the country. Not just SWAC, not just FCS. That's one of the biggest games in the United States because the fans and the students can get there. If your students can't get there to support you, that hampers your rivalry.
All right, Ms. Ford, let me get this other caller. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
What's going on, caller? You live? Talk to me.
If your
Hey, Mr. Ford, SWAC, this is Gabriel Green again. I got a quick question for Mr. Ford there.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Ford. So you were saying that, you all for a HBCU super conference, right?
Right.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So would you have a problem? Because I think SWAC, you was talking about this earlier tonight. Would you have a problem if they formed a super conference but moved up on an FBS level?
Well, now, the only thing I say about the FBS, you got to come up with that money. Now, you can't go in the FBS and you got Division II money. We can't do that.
Right.
If we gonna go FBS, we got to come up with them. Like I told you, the average in FBS is 66 million.
But
if we gonna go FBS, then all of us got to go up with 66 million.
Mr. Ford,
we got to have 60.
Mr. Ford, so you don't think years of that conference payout, you don't think they will be able to up their budget in a few years? In a couple of years?
Well, like I said now, until we got that money on paper, until that money is in the bank, I don't regard money that we say we going to eventually get. I'm talking about money that we got in the bank. If we don't have $66 million to put on our budget, we don't need to be talking about no FBS.
Okay. So then question number two. I guess I'm a forming like 2 and 3, and I'm gonna get on off here.
Right.
Who would you invite in? For the super conference, and then how would you go about? I guess like broadcasting, getting that exposure because now, the main thing is this right here. We trying to get our players looked at by the pros.
Right. Okay. Let me just tell you this, and this is why I have such high regards for this institution we call Florida A&M. SWAC Buzz had a show, and I told y'all about. I don't know if some of you remember. I was talking about we needed to have 1 to 2 games where we played home and home. Okay. One of them brilliant Florida A&M people heard me here in Atlanta and actually showed me how it could work. Now, he said what we would do was that we would do the home and home with the arch rivals first. If it was successful, we would do 2. You would play 2 people in your conference. Now, I think one of the callers called in and he made it. What I would like for us to do, we would have divisions of either 4 teams or 3 teams, and the schools would pick 2 teams that they would play twice. Now, why would you do that? That cuts down on travel. Why is travel important? Guys, let me just tell you something. There's a guy, I can't think of his name right now. He's at New York University. He's an economist. Y'all see him all the time on television.
Try to be quick, y'all, like our other callers.
Okay. He said that this depression we getting ready to go into is going to be 10 times worse than the one we had in the 1930s. That's why I said we got to cut down on travel. Now, the teams I noticed I want to add would be the Norfolk States, the South Carolina States, the North Carolina Centrals, those schools over there in that MEAC that have football programs, like I told you. And I'm going to say this again. Coppin State, if you can't come up with a football program, go to the CIAA. Okay? Maryland Eastern Shore, if you can't come up with a football program, join the CIAA. Because you're like an 800-pound gorilla on the rest of the conference. You in the conference, and you don't have a football program. Okay? All right. I'm going to let it go.
Okay.
All right. You go ahead and finish off, and then I'm going to get to the next caller. Go ahead.
Okay. And I think I would add Tennessee State up in there. And then, this one last question. And I'm like you, I'm going to get on off here. Okay, so who would you play, who would you add to your out-of-conference game that is like a higher FCS or maybe like a mid-range or lower-range FBS? And I'm gone.
Well, see, here's the thing. I'm not for playing, I'm not for Jackson State playing no University of Alabama. I'm not for that. But what I am for is I would like for us to take a week when all SWAC teams would play a member of the Southland Conference. I had talked about this. I like for Nicholls State to come to Jackson, Southern to play McNeese, Grambling play is it Incarnate Word? You know, where everybody in the SWAC 1 week would play a member of the Southland Conference. I'm not for all this, you know, we got to go play Michigan and we got to go play Ohio State. No, I'm not for that.
Okay.
But
let me get to this other caller. All right, hold on just a second. What's going on, caller? You live? Talk to me. Caller area code 469. I'm gonna get to you next. Go ahead.
All right, so all this talk about going to the FBS, I mean, you guys have to realize like this.
You kind of sound muffled. Can you reposition your phone?
Better.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, that's much better. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So what I was saying was we're talking about FBS, but we realized that Mr. Ford said we need $66 million. That's average. But you have programs at the FBS making way more than that. And the thing about this is also, for us competition-wise, you guys really just playing against each other. You're going to have to play so many other teams just to be bowl eligible. So you're probably going to have to play Alabama. You're probably going to have to play a Ole Miss or a Tennessee. Those games, those count for bowl games. You only can play so many out of conference. So say if those other teams don't move up, you just can't keep playing the same old teams and thinking you're going to get a bowl game at the end of the year.
Well, you're gonna play. Hold on. You're gonna play your conference though. So say for instance they went to the Sun Belt. They're gonna play Sun Belt teams. They'll play 6 or 7 Sun Belt teams, and then they have their out of conference games to play whoever they can schedule. They can schedule HBCUs if they want to schedule HBCU, or they can schedule a big Power 5 school. You only have to win 6. I think you only have to win 6 games to be bowl eligible. That's all. So
you have to win 6 bowl games, but also you have to think about the seeding in your conference as well.
Mm-hmm.
That depends on what type of bowl game you get. If you may get a low level bowl game that may not pay as much, or depending on who you play, you may get a big time bowl game with a big payout. So let's say hypothetically, Jackson State is the only team that moves from the SWAC. Now if they move to the Sun Belt or Conference USA, now that's going to have to have above 500 season, and it's only going to be those tradition is out of the question. You're not going to be able to play the Southern Heritage Classic. You're probably not going to be able to play.
Let me stop you real quick. Let me ask you this real quick. Do you actually think if Jackson State moved to the Sun Belt Conference, they're going to get the best players in that conference to come to play for Coach Prime? Because these top players aren't going to Jackson State because they're not LBS. That's probably the only reason. If they became LBS, they'll be really competing with Alabama, Clemson, and all these other schools for these players.
They would.
So So they're already getting players. They're already getting players now that's willing to go down to FCS to play for Coach Prime. You don't think if they was on the LBS level, they wouldn't be?
No, this is what you have to understand.
Go ahead.
What you're getting guys who couldn't cut the mustard at those Alabama, at those Clemson.
It's not true. That kid from Texas A&M, he played regularly. He was a good player at Texas A&M. James Houston was a good player at Florida. You know, he was a good player at Florida. He wanted to his whole family, they go to HBCUs. So when he got his degree from Florida, he wanted to go to a HBCU and he wanted to play for Deion. So that's not true. They're not just getting sorry scrub players. That's not true.
We didn't hear much of James Houston. James was a decent player at Florida, but we didn't hear much from him at the University of Florida due to the position he was playing. Now, granted, if he had played defensive end at Florida and produced the same, James would have been a first round pick. But at the end of the day, we have to realize it's like this: he wasn't really a big part of that defense at Florida.
Let me ask you something. I remember James Houston started at Florida. He was a middle linebacker, and he was the one that made the statement that Florida was going to destroy Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But he played now. He played. I'm sorry. Now you go back and look at his last year at Florida State. I mean, at Florida, he started.
You could start. See, football, it's 11 guys. Now you can be a starter, but are you that centerpiece around that defense? Really, he was.
It would be no reason to leave if you're the centerpiece. So you were making an argument that Jackson State, they're just getting scrub players that couldn't cut the mustard on the LBS level, so that's why they coming to Jackson State. No, that's not it. Some of these guys idolize. Some of these hold on. Some of these guys idolize Deion Sanders and they want to play for him. That's what this is. You know, that guy that came from Texas A&M, he was a starter, a very good player on their team, and he's going to Jackson State now. So.
And that kid that was from Georgia Tech, the Owens kid, I watched him. He wasn't no scrub at Georgia Tech. He started from Tech. I think he was from Tallahassee. He wasn't no scrub now. He started. He graduated, like Squack Bro said. He graduated, announced at his graduation, that once he got his degree, that he was coming to Jackson State because he wanted to play for Coach Prime and he wanted to be a part of the HBCU culture.
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't no scrub. He was playing.
So you think
sports operate as a business? Players are going to get forced out all the time, just as in pro sports. This is what we have to realize. Nobody at the Power 5 level, they don't care about how you feel or whatever. If they bring in, you could be starting 1 minute and they can bring in somebody the next minute to replace you. We see it all the time happening in pro sports. That's what college is. So you're basically, that's why scholarships are year to year, because you don't know who's coming in that might be better than you.
Oh, you got a point. I mean, yeah, that's true.
So we can all say a guy could be starting next. He could be starting this year, but next year, who's to say he's going to start again?
Well, what I disagree with you on is your point that you were trying to make the point that the players that Jackson was getting were scrubs that were transferring from his Power 5, and I agree with SWAC. That's not true. That's not true. He's not getting scrubs now.
Yeah. But I appreciate the call. Let me get this other caller.
Okay.
Go ahead and finish up your point.
So my point was making is we're y'all are a long way off from competing with the likes of Alabama or Clemson or Texas A&M.
Nobody's saying that though. Nobody's saying that though. Who's saying that? Why are y'all getting that from? Nobody's saying that Jackson State is about to go beat Alabama next year. Nobody's saying that.
No, I disagree. I disagree on that.
No,
people have been posting on Twitter. They believe they can compete with the likes of Bama.
Twitter, man.
Well, can I make this statement? Can I make this statement? Okay, that simply means that common sense is not common. That's all it means. Remember what they say about if there's no vision, the people perish. That's people that have no vision. That's all that is.
But I appreciate the call. Let me get to this other caller. Thank you. All right, What's going on, caller? You live? Talk to me.
What's going on? Swag? Mr. Ford, how you doing today?
Hey, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm just getting prepared for my show. But you remember back in the day, as far as when old Southwest Conference disbanded and they took the 4 teams up to the Big 8 and they formed the Big 12. So to me, all of this is all about who is doing what, and I kind of do like the idea of all the HBCUs from the SWAC and the MEAC to form a super conference in the FCS, because I would rather dominate the FCS, see what we can do, and then if we are able and then we are capable of doing what they're supposed to do as far as going up to FBS, then I would say move up. But I always say every school has to get they own affairs in order.
Right.
And I mean, and to me, all this is, you know, the ACC. The ACC is trash. The Pac-12 is trash because, like you said, the only team up there, the only team that actually doing anything is Oregon. They've been doing it for over 20 years.
Yeah. But the networks didn't like them. Even though that's Phil Knight, the guy who's behind Nike, the networks did not like Oregon and them 100 uniforms they got.
But see that's coming to the point where like that's how it is now. Like, you know, it's basically like the kids are going to that. But the really big thing is the real holding block to me is basically what is Notre Dame gonna do?
Yeah, but now let me say this about Notre Dame. If Notre Dame joins the Big Ten, they become irrelevant. If Notre Dame stays in the ACC, they will represent the ACC in the that tournament, that little, that Final Four that they have. Because here's the thing about that. Okay, you can take Appalachian State and they'll beat everybody in the ACC with the exception of Clemson, because Clemson is all they got. But here's the thing with Clemson: ever since Dabo Swinney went on his tirade talking about how much he loved President Trump, his program has been in disarray. So that's the thing with the ACC. But see, the ACC got enough pull, I believe, to maintain their integrity and that they can stay as a conference. Because now the SEC was serious now about trying to pull University of Miami, Florida State, and Clemson, and a possible North Carolina Tar Heel program. But I'm thinking that
I think they're still going to do that.
The ACC will stay intact.
And then, hey, SWAC, I'm gonna give you an example of how hard it is for an FCS team to move up to FBS and try to become somewhat relevant. Mr. Ford, remember University of North Texas when they was in the old Southland Conference? They moved up to FBS. They had to do the renovation of Fouts Field and everything, and they were so much irrelevant until like 2003, 2004. That's when they started winning, and then they became irrelevant again. So,
well, hey, wasn't Todd Dodge down there?
So
Coach Dodge
Todd Dodge was coach for UNT like around 2009, 2010, something like that. Around that time. He knew he wasn't not good enough to be a college coach. He's always been a high school coach.
That's right. He was a high school coach. That's why I remember. Now, let me tell you this. Now, it's going under the radar, but the guy who is now the offensive coordinator at Bethune-Cookman, he comes from North Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. Like, SWAC, when you look at that, kind of go through and look at North Texas, look at Louisiana Lafayette, look at like you said, ULM. You can look at
but do any of them have Coach Prime though? Do any of them have Coach Prime?
I mean,
that's the trump card.
But the thing is, it's not all about just saying anybody had Coach Prime. It was just the fact that when they got up to the FBS, it was hard for them to be relevant like they was in the FCS.
And why? And why would it? Hold on.
I'm not saying that as far as
answer this for me though. Answer this for me. Why was it hard for them on that next level? Was it because of the players they had? It was because of the players they had, right?
It was because. Let me get to it though. Let me get to it because I'm gonna tell you how it was, and I remember all this. When North Texas went up to FBS, it was not just because of the players that they had. It was because they didn't have that type of money. They didn't have that type of infrastructure at the time, at that present moment, at that time, to be able to sustain to be FBS. It was talks about them going back down to FBS to be back in the old Southland Conference with SFA and Sam Houston and stuff like that.
So when you say
you talking about, but we talking about. So let's say, okay. So I'll give you another example though. Let's talk about how James Madison and Sam Houston are moving up to FBS. Okay. James Madison has a damn budget like a damn Power 5. They have more of a budget than like Syracuse, than and Sam Houston has oil money. So they got money. They got money, and they can sustain their program.
Regardless of all that you saying, what it's gonna take is the players winning those football games. Cause James Madison can have all that money that they want. If those players go out there and wet the bed, they're gonna be irrelevant, just like all these other programs. No matter how much money they have, it's about the players. The players make these schools.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you I'm just giving you examples though. I'm just giving you examples. You have Charlotte moved up from FCS to FBS. Coastal Carolina moved up from FCS to FBS. So Coastal Carolina was a D2 school before they even went to FCS, and then they moved up to FBS. They basically was a middle of the pack team until the last couple of years. About 2019, 2020 is when you heard of Coastal Carolina getting on the big stage.
And why was that? Because they was winning, right?
I mean, yeah. But let me say this about Coastal Carolina. They had a coach that was a billionaire. I think he owned a Ameritrade. He's the one that put them on the map. Now, what happened with him? He had a heart attack, and he brought in that guy that's there now, Jamie Chadwell. Jamie was at Charleston Southern, and Jamie was brought in as the offensive coordinator. That man went out, and Jamie became the coach. And what really propelled Coastal Carolina, they invited a Brigham Young team to Myrtle Beach, and they defeated them on national television.
Yep. On national television.
Now, remember Coastal Carolina only became a college in 1974. Now, I like to tell people this. The money that they given Coastal Carolina was actually supposed to go to South Carolina State. They diverted it to Coastal Carolina. That's South Carolina State's money you looking at when you look at Coastal Carolina.
Okay. But like I said, you said it's all about the players playing, but it's all about the coaching. It's a lot of things that go into you being relevant to stay relevant in the FBS.
I mean,
that's all I'm saying.
I understand but
you know what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but Jackson State have NFL coaches with NFL experience. They have a good coaching staff. And if they get the players that Coach Prime can bring,
don't get me wrong.
They can win.
Don't get me wrong. I'm JSU all the way. Come on now. I'll tell you everybody, I'm JSU all the way. But I know that about the coaching staff. It takes the coaching staff to coach us those players, and then it transfers on to the field. But as far as what I'm saying is, it's not all about the play on the field. It's about what goes on behind the scenes, behind closed doors. You have to make sure that you have a budget to keep up. Try to keep up with the Joneses. That's what I'm saying. And if I'm lying, Mr. Ford, tell me I'm lying.
No, you're not.
I do want not just Jackson State, but I do want all of the SWAC schools to increase their budgets. And personally, I want a cut line of at least 15 to 16 million. I want FAM to come up there. I want Southern to come. Of course, I want Jackson to come. I want Grambling to come. I know that Texas Southern can get there, and I know that Prairie View can get there. But I would like to see every school in the SWAC bring their budget up to 15 to 16 million. That's what I'd like to see.
All right. Well, I appreciate the call. I got another call. I'm going to get them on. I appreciate the call.
Go ahead, man.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
So what I was saying was that the players make these teams. And when a school talks about going up, they're going up for money. They're not going. So when people saying, "Oh, you got to have this already in place to move up," these schools are moving up so they can get that infrastructure, so they can have that money to increase their budget and do all they need to do. That's the whole point of them trying to go up. If they had it like that and they were dominating their conference, they probably would sit still, just like North Dakota State is doing. North Dakota State can go up. They don't want to go up because they sitting pretty.
That's right. They don't want to go up. Yeah,
they don't want to go up because they got the infrastructure. No. They still getting the draft picks.
Yeah.
They dominating their conference. They don't need to go up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
but they want to be champions.
Yeah.
They know that if they go to FBS, they're not going to be champions. But as long as they're in FCS, they're going to be a championship program. That's why they know that. I think they've won 10 championships. How many?
I know 9. I know 9 for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They don't want to go up. See, their philosophy is they want to be a big fish in a small pond.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us want to be a small fish in a big pond, and there's a difference.
Yeah. Let me get Jerome on. He called back. Hold on. Let's see what he got to say.
Okay.
What's going on, Kali Live? Talk to me.
Hey, this is Jerome again. I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Mr. Ford was saying. To kind of expound on that, with Charleston Southern, but Charleston Southern and Coastal Carolina. When you look at James Madison as well, a lot of that funding that they received as a public institution, as well as George Mason, which is now the largest institution of Virginia, that money should have been allocated to Virginia State. And just to show you how racist, the state of Virginia is, you got, such a large population and so many institutions, but it's only got 2 public HBCUs. And the only reason why they got 2 is because Norfolk State is a branch of Virginia State. You look at UNC Charlotte, they were a commuter school for so long.
Right.
And over the last 20 years, they came out of nowhere. Even those of us who were from North Carolina, looking like, where did UNC Charlotte get all this money from? What, you know what I'm saying? Like, people say, oh, it's the Belk family. No, it's not the Belk family. The UNC system, they readjusted a lot of that money that should have went to a school like North Carolina Central or Fayetteville State, and they gave it to UNC Charlotte. Same with Georgia State. Came out of nowhere. And Kennesaw State came out of nowhere.
Right.
All that money in Georgia, it should have gone to Savannah State, Fort Valley, and Albany. So we got to take these things, we definitely got to take these things into consideration when we're trying to have these conversations about the low-level FBS schools, because some of those lower-level FBS schools like South Alabama, UAB, a lot of that money they've received over the last 20 years should have went to A&M and Alabama State. So
and there was a lawsuit about that. That was a lawsuit. And see, you bring up Kennesaw State. See, I remember when Kennesaw State was a junior college. It was only 2 years. Yeah. The funding, they've always did us in when it comes to the funding from the state. They've always done us in.
So that's why I say, we definitely got to keep things in context. I know we don't want to compare ourselves to FBS programs because there's such a big disparity when it comes to funding.
Right.
But we also got to keep things into perspective when it comes to some of these lower level schools. I love that Mr. Ford, he brought up the point, of ULM, their budget was only $15 million. Those are schools that we definitely would say are our peer institutions as far as being comparable to, as far as reaching those stretch goals for. Because when we're looking at a South Alabama or a UAB or UNC Charlotte, they're getting just tons of money, from the state that definitely should have been allocated to the HBCUs. But that's all I have, man.
I appreciate that. Also, Granny Ann, appreciate the donation. But thank you for the call, sir.
Oh, yeah.
All right, appreciate it. All right, Mr. Ford, you got anything else to add before we close out the show? If y'all want to call in, y'all can call in as well.
At that time, I think Jackson State players report for camp in 2 weeks? And I think
2 weeks.
Florida A&M players report on the 27th or the 29th. Is that right? Because remember, they play 0 week, which means their first game is the last week in August.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know
so
August
we're
is
there.
usually...
I mean, it's time.
Yeah, it's about time.
Hey, we're there now.
Yeah,
it's time.
Everybody about to get rolling.
They say the rubber's gonna hit the road now. It's time.
Yeah, I think
it's time.
I'll be doing my videos of who I think is gonna place where in the conference. But I think we're gonna have a great season. I think this season is gonna be epic. I think this is gonna be one of the best seasons that we ever seen.
Somebody asked me about what would I say to the commission, and y'all say it for me. If you get a chance to see Dr. McClung, we need a national highlight show, and we need it on one of these cable outlets like a TBS or Miss Hughes is. What's the name of that one Miss Hughes got? One, what is it called? TV1?
Oh, TV1, yep. TV1.
TV1. We need a hour-long highlight show featuring every SWAC game during that week. We need that. And there's a guy here in Atlanta who can narrate it and moderate. His name is Sam Crenshaw. He's done it before. But we need a highlight show. We need a highlight show. And it needs to be on a Sunday night.
Right.
From the SWAC. Because I'm telling you, they talking about, there's so many games we got that people are going to be interested in. Because we got big-time games throughout the SWAC schedule.
So, Mr. Ford, if you could talk to Coach Prime, if you could say anything to him, what would you say to him about all this realignment and anything? Any advice you could give him, what would you say to Coach Prime?
Just do your research. Do your research and development. I don't want him to make the mistakes that Tennessee State made. See, I was telling you earlier what Jackson State is going through now. Tennessee State went through that after the death of Big John Merritt, and let me tell you, they made every bad move they could make. And the number one bad move they made was they went from being independent to in that hillbilly conference called the OVC, and that destroyed their program and made them a shell of themselves. So what I would say to Coach Prime, make sure you do your research and development. Okay? Do your research and your development.
All right. Well, I appreciate you. Appreciate you calling, Mr. Ford. You know, you're always welcome here.
Okay.
And thank you for the call.
And thank you so much. And y'all have a good night.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
The real McCoy says, I agree. I don't want Deion to start something, and when he leave, we right back to the same thing. Israel said, clip it and send it to Coach Prime. The SWAC is going to come down to JSU and Alcorn. Those are the exceptions to the rules. So the phone lines are open. I'll take one or two more calls if y'all want to call in. And then, I don't want to keep y'all on too late tonight. So we'll end the show in a minute. But if y'all want to call in, get your thoughts out on the topic that we talk about today. What do you think about what Coach Prime said that, HBCU is going to have a decision to make? Do you want to keep with tradition, or do you want to go another route that's going to, help with finances? DJ said it said. Appreciate that. Also, let's try to get the likes up. Let's see what we had on likes tonight. We got the 131. Can we get the 150 before the show is over with? That'll be cool. Several years, not 17. And can we stop assuming that these SWAC schools are not going to compete with each other? They're not going to be blowout like y'all think. I don't think it's going to be many blowouts this season. I think Alabama A&M they're going to be competitive. FAMU is going to be competitive. Alabama State is going to be competitive. Like Grambling is going to be competitive. Like you have so many. Half the SWAC is going to be a competitive team. So it's not going to be no cakewalks. And then you got Texas Southern, who's a sleeper. They have a nice offense. So you just never know when it comes to Texas Southern. If they get their defense right, they'll be a formidable opponent. If you in another conference, does it matter to be the best HBCU team? William Humphrey said Valley wins SWAC West. Now, Valley's in the East, though. Valley's in the East, William. Finances over tradition, always. A lot of people feel like that. A lot of people feel like, we should be worried about, our finances and putting our institutions in the best position to be successful instead of worrying about tradition. Give me 1 second, y'all. Valley is East, yeah. Valley is in the East. I'd rather see them create a super conference with the MEAC and the conference sponsor classes in New York, Chicago, and LA. That would be dope if we had games in big cities like that. That would be fun. Because we have a lot of alumni in big cities. Like you have alumni in DC, you got alumni in Chicago, a lot of alumni in Chicago. I know when I was at Jackson State, we had this whole Chicago they had their own little clique. They had a big group of Chicago students. So yeah, we definitely have alumni in big cities like that. Bryce and Bradford said they tried to do classics in Los Angeles and it didn't work. This was as recent as the early 2000s. Atlanta and Houston. Atlanta's always a good place to have a HBCU classic or a game. That's the spot. So many HBCU alum in Atlanta. MEA needs to reach out to the SWAC. We can't have money and tradition. I have to hear specifically what traditions are holding us back. So when people talk about tradition, I feel like they're thinking about the tailgating, they're thinking about the bands, they're thinking about the crowd, the ethnicities of the crowd, the culture of the crowd. Like when you go to a SWAC game, it's like a family atmosphere. So if you have half the population being people of another culture, a lot of people are not going to be excited about going to that game. So that's what people have their problems with, when PWIs playing HBCU, they have a problem with the culture aspect of it. But I don't know. I think we're probably going to have to get over that, especially the more popular that Jackson State get. You're going to have fans from all over and all different ethnicities going to the games. So we're going to have to get over that. Fam, you ain't playing with y'all this year. You caught us out there not playing for a year, kicking ass every weekend. Oh yeah, fam, we'll see. We'll see. I think fam, you're gonna be pretty good though. Y'all think bands will travel much this year? Because I doubt it with the economy being as it is. That would be bad if the bands don't travel though. That would suck. I really want the bands there. New Season said, heck no, why we gotta get over it? New Season, call up. I want you to call up, New Season. See, I hate when people just type in the comments. You disagree so much. Call up and tell people why you disagree. Call up. The number is right there, 657-390-4814. Please call up. I think you could still have the bands, those problems. The HBCU band plays at PLI. That's why it makes sense to go big with JSU, because it is a national brand. PWI's tailgate just will be better. Can someone explain the JSU dorm issue? Don't forget there will be a COVID-19 impact. Sorry to say it. I want this guy to call in. New Season. I want you to call in. Because at these SWAC games, you're gonna have people. You have people that just now learning about the SWAC, and they want to come to the games. So if you have a lot of people from different backgrounds coming to the games, we got to get used to that. We got to get used to different people liking our product. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I have people watching. I look at my analytics. I got people in Germany watching SWAC content. You got people in Germany. You got people in I actually seen somebody in what's that country called? I can't think of the country, but it's a white country, and they're watching SWAC content. So I don't know. Maybe it's black people that's over there in those countries. I don't know, but I have people all over the world watching this stuff. They like SWAC content, so we have to get used to our popularity growing. The SWAC is getting very popular now. How we going to move up when the bands don't have the money? You got a live chat for a reason, bro. I ain't calling ish. So we got to change our culture to make them comfortable. See, now you trolling. See, you trolling. Since you don't want to call in, but you like to type in the comments and talk noise in the comments, call in. I want you to say this on the air. Say it on the air. Don't be scared now. They don't think to make us comfortable at PWIs. He said, you got a live chat for a reason, bro. I ain't calling ish. So we got to change our culture to make them comfortable. White people don't do that for us. They don't think to make us comfortable at PWIs. All right, we got a call coming in. What's going on, Collie Live? Talk to me.
What's up, Sweat Buzz? It's Malachi.
What's going on, Malachi? Oh, I thought you was the other guy. Go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead. I thought you was somebody else. Go ahead.
Yeah, just want to say, great show, you and Mr. Ford. Always doing what y'all supposed to do and stuff. Also, Sunday, I do want to say, don't let the trolls get to you, man.
Yeah, I know. They ain't doing no trolling.
They just gotta be there.
Yeah.
The only thing, hey,
I like to entertain the trolls sometimes. I like to entertain the trolls because it makes for a good show sometimes to entertain them and mess with them. But yeah, I know they trolling.
Yeah, don't let them bother you. Also, in my opinion and stuff, I wouldn't mind seeing an all HBCU conference. That's just me.
Yeah, you talk about you talking about on LBS level, or what are you talking about?
So, to me, whether it's on the FBS level or FCS level, I really couldn't decide. And I guess the reason why I couldn't decide is because I feel like whether it's on the FBS or FCS level, I feel like, you know, HBCUs, Black people as a whole and stuff, we can make it happen. We done been through worse.
Right.
I feel like we can make it happen.
Yeah. So you're saying that you would like the HBCU blue blood programs, like the most popular programs, to join together and make their own conference. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and slow over time and stuff. You know, bring everybody else, you know, up and all that. Bring everybody else up and all that and stuff, and have our own conference. I wouldn't mind if we had our own playoff bracket, but that's a story for another day. I wouldn't mind the top 8 HBCU teams fighting it out.
Caller that just hung up, you can call back. I answer. Well, yeah, I appreciate the call, Malachi. Thank you for the call.
No problem.
Thank you.
You too. All right, bye.
What's going on, Caller Live? Talk to me.
Hey, brother SWAC Buzz, how you doing? It's your guy Chris Scott from San Antonio, Texas.
What's going on? What's going on out there in Texas?
Oh man, nothing. Just trying to stay warm these 100-degree days.
All right.
But I was gonna say, SWAC Buzz, man, you keep doing what you're doing, brother. You and Mr. Ford, all these trollers, man. People want to talk inside the chat, but don't have the balls to call in. You know, let the kids play, and let the adults be adults.
Right.
But I kind of agree with the brother who just now called in. You know, I had a vision the other day that the SWAC and MEAC had combined, and also in that dream, SWAC Buzz, the SEAC and the CIAA had combined. And I think right there, you know, if that right there was to happen, like you said, not just the Blue Bloods, but all the teams in those two divisions, right? I think then we'll have a powerhouse. Something you were saying earlier, brother, about the Southland Conference and the Sun Belt Conference. Well, if you think about it, brother SWAC Buzz, Jackson State did that this year when they played against UL Monroe, right? I think that they lost the game because, like Coach Prime said, when they lost to when they played Celebration Bowl, South Carolina State.
Yeah.
The issue got exposed with the offensive line, you know, and the protection when it comes to Shador. But you got to think about it. If Coach Prime is getting these 1-star, 2-star, 18,000-star recruits, then how can Jackson State play these schools in the Southland Conference, right, SWAC Buzz, or the other conference, the Sun Belt Conference, and not kick ass and take names?
Yeah.
You know.
I'm
sorry. Go ahead, brother. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And that's what I was trying to get people to see. If Jackson State did move up to a FBS conference. That's gonna bring more players because a lot of these guys, a lot of these kids, they see FCS, FBS. They don't really, know how to differentiate. They don't really care about the program. They just care about what it looked like. Oh, I'm an FBS player. I can say, oh, I'm an FBS player, or I play Power 5. You got these kids going to Kansas State. What y'all going to Kansas State for? I'd have seen so many HBCU athletes transferring to Kansas State. Kansas State is trash, ash. They are sorry. And people are going there because they can say, I'm in the Big 12, I'm a Power 5. They just want to be able to say, I'm a Big 12, I'm a Power 5 athlete. And so when Jackson State moves up a level, they'll have that cachet or their FBS school. So then you'll be able to get those players along with Coach Prime. They'll want to come in with Coach Prime. I think that's the highlight of it, that Jackson State will be able to move up that level to get those players to want to come in. It's all about what it looks like.
Yeah, and everything's about optics, SWAC Buzz. Yeah. Two more things I want to say to you real quick to respect the next caller. SWAC Buzz, you kind of said that one time before, but you got to understand, brother, I don't know how old you are. I'm 45. One thing you got to understand is when Coach Snyder took over Kansas State back in the mid 80s, early 90s, they were like the worst winningest team in Division I football. I'm talking Division 1A and 1AA. So he got a lot of junior college players and a lot of and he started scheduling schools like Akron and Kent, start beating those guys, kicking those guys' teeth in until he finally got the recruits to compete. And you're right. Ever since Coach Snyder had retired and left Kansas State, yes, they are trash. But remember now, when he was there, it was once a powerhouse. Mm-hmm. That's my first point. And my last thing, Brother SWAC Buzz, is this. I said something on one of your calls a while back, and you read it. You disagree. I think it was the call where you had audio trouble. What I was saying to you, SWAC Buzz, about two blue bloods playing in my favorite city in America, San Diego. Here's where I was going with that, brother. Every region in America have an HBCU except for the West Coast, right? The Midwest got HBCUs, the East Coast got HBCUs, and down south got HBCUs. There are no HBCUs in the West Coast. When I was in the Marine Corps in California, I noticed something. Most black parents or most black grandparents came from the Midwest, East Coast, or down south, and all they talked about was HBCUs. Now, Cal State Dominguez Hills in Carson, California, that's the closest thing to HBCU. It's not an HBCU. Well, you know as well as I do, Brother SWAC Buzz, that Hugh Jackson, he has his claws all over that California talent because that's where he come from. And I'm telling you, bro, if you play two blue bloods in San Diego, California, you will see black folks drive from Ventura, LA County, Riverside County, San Diego County, Orange County, to experience a HBCU football game and watch HBCU football, especially the SWAC, blow up as far as California recruits. That's where I was going with that, if that makes sense to you.
I understand. It's just that on the West Coast,
that makes sense to you.
On the West Coast in a city like San Diego, they got so much to do. So it's like the Rams, their pro teams barely can get people in the stands unless they're winning. So I'd just be apprehensive about going out to the West Coast. Like I would rather go to a city that's like heavily populated with black people, like Atlanta, Houston, cities like that. I don't know. Maybe it could work, but I'm just saying San Diego. What's the population of black people in San Diego?
Okay, so when you look at San Diego, well, and this is something I know you told the story how you almost got jumped out. Yeah, that was hilarious, by the way, bro. When you was there, San Diego and that part of California is mainly military. Now, East San Diego, you're probably in Lincoln Park area. Nick Cannon, his father was one of the original founders of the Bloods in San Diego, the Power Rulers of San Diego. So that part of San Diego is black. East San Diego is black near Lincoln Park, Lincoln Court area, Terrell Davis, Lincoln High School, Moore High School, that whole area of San Diego. But LA County, it's a lot of black folks. Here's where I'm going with this, SWAC Buzz. Well, the Chargers, they games did sell out because of San Diego County very own Junior Seau. Yeah. And the Rams, let's keep it real, SWAC Buzz. The Rams has always been that cousin who came by who you couldn't wait till his ass leave, because LA has always been what? A Raiders town.
Yeah.
So when the Rams had went to St. Louis and came back, even before the Rams had left, they were always second fiddle to the Raiders, just like the Jets is always going to be second fiddle to the Giants.
Yeah.
That's the reason why it looks like you really can't find a Chargers fan or a Rams fan, because Junior Seau's dead, plus they moved, right? And the Rams, they're always going to be second fiddle to the Raiders, although the Raiders have moved to Oregon, and now they ass is over in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So that's where the dynamics of Rams and Chargers football come from in the fan base, if that makes sense to you, brother.
Okay, I got you, but I got other callers. Let me go and get to them. I appreciate you calling. Thank you.
Hey, brother, you too. God bless, brother.
All right, thank you. What's going on, Carly? Live, talk to me. Hello.
Hey, what's up, SWAC? How you doing?
What's going on, man?
Hey, man, it's Antonio Bailey from Memphis, Tennessee.
What's going on out there in Memphis?
Not much, man. I was calling in. You know, I want to say something I said in the comments, but I think two of the big things that I would think that would benefit not only just Jackson State, but just HBCUs in general moving up is just the scholarship amount. You know, I was watching CFL earlier, and he mentioned that it's 130 players on Jackson State right now. You only got 65 scholarships. Like somebody gone, you know what I mean? And I feel like going from 65 to 85, that's 20 more scholarships. And like you said, they bring in way more players just to say that, oh yeah, I play for FBS school, but like a black one at that, I think that would benefit them so much. I think, you know, just, and then getting the facilities, and not only just basketball, but all the other sports as well. You know, Jackson State tennis is dope. Basketball, they got Mo Williams as a coach. You know, some people don't think he gonna do as good, but he gonna bring players in just from being Mo Williams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it'll just benefit the school so much, just getting more scholarships for players. And then I wanted to ask, like I asked too, about the housing situation. Do you think that moving up would help with getting more money to get more housing for the athletes? Because like my girlfriend, she went to UT Knox, and they got a whole, like, which that's big money, but they got a whole like side for just the athletes, like a dorm and everything. Like they got their own cafeteria, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what Coach Prime is trying to, you know, do at Jackson State. He's got them their training table where they eat. They don't eat with the regular students. So, and I know they had a football dorm. I think they're tearing it down and they're gonna rebuild it, if I'm not mistaken. That football dorm that they have. So I think they're tearing it down. And they're gonna rebuild it. But yeah, he's trying. He know what it's supposed to look like. He went to a Power 5 school, so he know what it's supposed to look like, and so he's trying to implement that at Jackson State. So I think they're gonna be good. I think the only reason why they're even talking about it or even thinking about moving up is just for the money. It's for the money. But I appreciate the call. Let me get to this other caller. All right,
man.
Thank you. All right. What's going on? Call you live. Talk to me.
Yeah, I called in earlier. My name's Courtney.
What's going on, Courtney?
And I'm actually in Kansas. I don't think Kansas State is trash. I live like about an hour away from K-State. They ain't the greatest.
Right now in their conference.
Trash.
Right now in their conference.
They're not trash. They beat LSU in the bowl game.
When was that?
Last year. They beat them 42-20.
I'm talking about in their conference though. In their conference, let me pull up their schedule. Let me pull up their record. Hold on.
They went 85 last year. They lost to they won first game they beat Stanford. Then they lost to Oklahoma State, lost to Oklahoma, lost to Iowa, beat Texas Tech, beat TCU, beat Kansas, beat West Virginia, lost to Baylor, lost to Texas, then beat LSU.
Okay, so they
were 4-5 in the conference.
They were 8-5 last year.
But that's still
8-5
that's
last
still
year.
a tough crowd.
They were 4-6 the year before that.
They only had one cupcake the whole schedule.
Yeah, they were 4-6 the year before that. So they just getting back good now. But a school like Kansas State, they have no shot in going to the playoff. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
no shot.
Well, Well, you're right. Yeah. Well, especially well, yeah, you're right. But no, K State, I'm familiar with it because I live. They recruit a lot of Texas kids, so no, it's for the well, it's not it is impossible just to recruit the state of Kansas because they don't produce not hardly any
So
FBS talent, so they
when
have to go from other places to get football talent.
yeah,
So they do good for what they have.
yeah, so when I was saying trash, I meant compared to Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, all those schools. They're never going to playoffs.
Man, and I'm being honest, like some places in Kansas, unless you know outside of Kansas City or Wichita, no, some places you'd be happy to see another black person. So I'm just saying, I ain't not trying to be racist, but I'm just saying it's a hard state to recruit football talent. So the only option, like most of the players on Kansas or K State, is like they from Texas.
Yeah,
they would no way they could. But no, they do have a good junior college. Hudson Junior College. There's a lot of players that come from the junior college in Hudson. You know, they go to FBS schools, but
yeah.
they ain't trash.
What I'm saying,
but they ain't winning none no time soon.
Yeah, I was saying they're not winning, and what I was saying was that's why players are going to Kansas State knowing that they're never going to play in the playoffs. They're going there because
but they
can say I'm in the Big 12.
They got a
I'm a
chance
Power 5 athlete.
Yeah, and they playing against the talent, FBS talent. No, they still get to match up against the FBS talent. That's why I think it's still an attractive place to go because Kansas, the University of Kansas, is trash.
Now, and
absolutely trash in football.
How many draft picks did Kansas State have last year?
Hell, they ain't had any in their history.
Thank you.
Thank you. That QB from that played for the Cowboys, Terrence. He was a QB for a long time for the Cowboys.
So Jackson State got more.
And the running back that played for
the Jackson State had more draft picks than Kansas State.
Yeah, but they have had K State has had better players recently, the last 20 years.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a hard time.
They had a running back that was pretty good out of K State that was at the Chargers, the little short joker. I forgot his name. He was like 5'6", 180, but he was good. But Jackson State hasn't produced much of anything the last 20 years. Not a QB, not a DB, not a running back, not a linebacker, a wide receiver, nothing in the NFL.
But what I'm saying is they can hang their hat on. We had a draft pick last year, and Kansas State didn't have.
Yeah, but any. No, that was Florida. He was already he already had some training and some conditioning and was built up. When they go have somebody with Dion, have somebody that he recruited that go pro.
But you got people in the comments
saying transfer.
You got people in the comments that said he was trash at Florida. They saying that he was nothing at Florida.
No.
So which is
he? Well, I'm one of the ones because people call me a JSU hater. I'm actually Courtney. They I get hated on from every comment section, and I watch the SC football. I'm actually from Alabama, but I live in Kansas. But James Houston name wasn't really called at Florida at all in the games because I mean he is small for a defensive end. That's the only reason he was a six round draft pick. No, 6'2", 225. That's really small for a defensive end.
Are you Courtney Sutherland in the comments?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep. See, hey, you be saying some crazy stuff, man. I be like, man, this guy trolling. What is he doing?
I just be saying something. It's all entertainment, man. I just be trying to it's all entertainment. I don't mean no harm. I just get a kick out of sometimes people like, oh, JSU hater. I'm like, whatever, man. It's the internet. It's entertainment. It's nothing personal. I don't have personal against JSU or nothing. Actually, I'm from around Huntsville, Alabama. I just moved to Kansas. That's why I really be rubbing them, like to pick on people from Jackson State. I really want Alabama and them to win.
Trey Mack,
so it's not personal.
Trey Mack said Kansas State had 2 draft picks from last season.
I don't know who it was because I said I just lived in the States. I don't follow Big 12 football. So they might have had them. I don't know who they were because the team was just aight. They aight.
Yeah.
But they did beat LSU. They did beat LSU in the bowl game.
Okay. You know who I got them confused with? You know I got them confused with? You right, Trey Mack. I got them confused with Northwestern. That's who I got them confused with.
Yeah, they terrible too. Well, they actually terrible.
So now, I've been getting Kansas State and Northwestern confused because they both purple. So that's who I got. That's who I was thinking you was talking about.
If you would have said University of Kansas, I wouldn't even call in. They actually.
Yeah, I appreciate the call, though. Let me get to this other call. I appreciate the call.
All right.
All right. What's going on, Carly Live? Talk to me.
Yo.
Yeah, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm calling out of Los Angeles, California, but I'm actually from Daytona Beach, Florida.
You said what now?
I say I'm calling out of Los Angeles, California, but I'm actually from Daytona Beach, Florida.
Oh, okay. What's going on?
Yes, sir. Not much, man. I was just talking about this on a Clubhouse, man. I had a room about it, and I was talking about whether they should just go for the money. And I was like, if they go for the money, that'd be good for just JSU and JSU alone. Like if they went to the Big Ten, and I think it's mandatory that you got to play at least 8 conference games. And then the other games they could still play 3 or I don't know how the schedules work. I don't know how many you're obligated to have on your schedule, but where they could squeeze in some HBCU teams, at least the top 3 that they know will be money games. But I was like, that'll really only benefit JSU, and I was like, that's what was best for the program. But I was like, if you're thinking about HBCUs as a whole, then I would like to see the MEAC and the SWAC combined. And I would say I see. I think I read an article of Fam and Bethune going to the SWAC, right?
Yeah, they already in the SWAC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they came last year.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, okay. I guess I just read an article then, but no, I was just saying, what you think about that at the SWAC and the MEAC? Because I heard somebody else say it, if they combine. I think it'd be money. If it don't happen, I think money would be the issue.
I mean, I've been wanting that to happen. I think having a playoff too. If we went to a playoff system and combined the MEAC and the SWAC, I think that would be dope. That's if they don't do the whole FBS thing and they combine the MEAC and the SWAC, and then they do a 14 playoff at the end of the season. I think that would be dope.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. I mean, people definitely celebrate the celebration mode. And I think Prairie View and Fam went to tournaments, didn't they?
You said Prairie View and Fam?
Yeah. Yeah.
What you mean went to tournaments?
I think they did. After the conference, they got or a playoff. I'm sorry, not tournament, but a playoff. They went to a playoff.
Fam, you went to the FCS playoffs in Jackson State and South Carolina State. They went to the Celebration Bowl.
Okay. Now I said Fam. I mean Prairie View and Fam. I could have sworn they were both in a playoff kind of ordeal, but I don't know. I could be misquoting.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let me get to this next caller. I appreciate the call. Thank you. My man was kind of lost, man. He ain't know Fam, you and Bethune-Cookman was already in the SWAC. All right, let me get to this next caller. What's going on, Carly Live? Talk to me.
Hey, SWAC Buzz. It's Chris Chopper texting. I have to call back, brother, based on something that was said inside the comments. Can I speak on that right quick?
Go ahead.
Okay, so one of the people inside the comments, SWAC Buzz, had said, I put in there that San Diego County has 146,600 black people, and someone had said, well, out of 3-something million, well, SWAC Buzz, Jackson State Homecoming had 50-something thousand people. San Diego County can have 13 million people. If 40 to 50,000 black people show up, that's all that really matters. The overall number doesn't matter. We're talking about production, how many people is going to show up. Okay. Now, LA County has 9 million plus people. Out of those 9 million plus people, SWAC Buzz, 815,086 is black people. And so that's why I was trying to say to the person inside the chat, if you were to see the black population in Southern California, all you got to do is look at some of these Big 12 and Pac-10 rosters, because most of those black players come from Southern California. So it's not about the overall number. It's about the turnout. So if you got 146,000 black people, what difference do it make if 30 to 50 some thousand show up at the football game to see a FAMU play against a Jackson State or a Prairie View? And that's the power of tapping that West Coast football talent when it comes to black people. And that's what Hugh Jackson is doing down in Grambling.
I understand what you're saying, but West Coast.
No, not you, but the people. Somebody inside the chat said it doesn't matter how many out of, as long as 40-some thousand. What difference do it make as long as they show up?
Yeah, I just think that West Coast, the black people out on the West Coast, I just don't know how they would take to HBCU football. And just looking at USC, UCLA games, they barely can fill up their stadiums. They barely have anybody going to their games, just because there's so much to do out there. You got the beaches, you got all this stuff out there. It's just so much to do that, I just find it hard pressed to get a HBCU game played in San Diego and filling up a stadium.
Well, and that's the reason why I fell back on too when I was in the Marine Corps and stationed there. A lot of those parents, SWAC Buzz and grandparents, they came from the South. Now, of course, the grandkids and kids is from the West Coast, and that's all they talked about was HBCU this, HBCU that. That's the reason why Cal State Dominguez Hills has the black population it has right down from Long Beach State. And also, one thing I said that you caught that I don't think the person's had the chat call is, if that happens, SWAC Buzz, you're going to have black folks from Orange County come. You're going to have black folks from LA County come. You're going to have black folks from Riverside County come. So that game is going to be sold out and then some.
Okay.
If that makes sense to you.
I'll take your word for it. I had to see it to believe it, but I'll take your word for it. But I appreciate the call.
And I say that, SWAC Buzz, because I believe in the SWAC and I believe in the MEAC. But you know as well as I do, when you look at the Big 12 that you Mr. Ford talked about, you look at the Pac-12, all that black Southern California talent, but barely any of it is coming to the SWAC and the MEAC. So Hugh Jackson at Grambling, he's onto something. I just want to see the SWAC and MEAC and these black college conferences win. And we have to tap into that black talent throughout all of America, not just 3 regions.
That's true. We definitely need to recruit in all parts of the country. So I agree with you on that one.
Bro, can you, if this movement was going on, can you really imagine Keyshawn Johnson and Reggie Bush? I'm gonna say it's probably not popular to say, but I'm gonna say it's SWAC Buzz, and even Lawrence Phillips himself. Can you imagine those guys coming to Jackson State or coming to the SWAC? Can you imagine that if this movement was going on back in those days?
Yeah, I mean, I think the celebrity thing, I think we need to lean heavily into that. I really do, because I think that's the way that we're going to really raise this conference up if we get a few more celebrity coaches in. So I like the celebrity coach thing. I know a lot of people don't like it. They want to keep things traditional. Like, no, we don't need celebrity coaches. But I like having the celebrity coaches in the conference.
I like it too, SWAC Buzz. But here's one thing I think that not Mr. Ford, but here's one thing I think that you're forgetting about Coach Prime compared to Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. Mm-hmm. Coach Prime has been coaching kids since the late 90s, early 2000s. Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, they have the name, but can they coach kids? And if they cannot coach kids, will they be able to put people around them who can coach these kids and they get out the way and not shoot themselves in the foot?
Well, Ed Reed is coaching at he has a position at University of Miami, so he's
the advisor. Yeah,
he's getting experience working with college kids.
So I agree with you, Swag Buzz, as far as the celebrities. But let's keep it real. This was Eddie George's first year ever coaching football, and Tennessee State didn't do bad, but you could obviously tell that he got out coached by Coach Prime. That was evident.
Yeah.
And so these celebrity coaches is cool, but Coach Prime has been doing this for a while, bro. For a while, Swag Buzz.
Yeah, but they had to get a good staff too. When you get a good staff, because usually like those celebrity coaches, they're the figurehead. They're the CEO of the company. They just run the company. But you have to get a good coaching staff to really get a good team under your belt, because those coaches gonna know they're gonna know what to do, and you're the spokesperson of the team. You do the interviews. You know, you're running the show. You're getting the sponsors. When you talking to these rich millionaires trying to get them to donate to your program, you're that person that's talking for the program. So I think that's the benefit of having a celebrity coach. They can go, they know people that, you know, that have all this money, there's millionaires. Coach Prime could talk to a Walmart. He could talk to a Fox or whoever, because he's had dealing with these people. Affleck, you know, he had dealing with these people, so he can get them to donate that money. A regular coach is not going to have those connections.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, Swag Buzz, I misspoke on something earlier, and I apologize to the platform right here. When I said combine the conference, what I meant was you take the SWAC, because the SWAC and the MEAC, they're Division I AA, technically. You get my point.
Yeah.
And the CIAA, the SIAC and the CIAA are Division II. What I was trying to say, and I apologize for misspeaking, Swag Buzz. What I was trying to say was you take the SWAC and you combine the CIAA with the SWAC. You take the MEAC and you combine the SIAC with the MEAC to form two power conferences. I didn't mean both the SWAC and the MEAC, because now you got the SEAC and the CIA. You let those guys hanging. So you get one Division I AA conference, the SWAC, and you combine that with the CIAA, and then you get the MEAC and you combine that with the SIAC. That's what I was trying to say, SWAC. Well, I apologize about that.
I don't think that would work, because, you know, those are D2 programs. They're not going to have. They don't have the resources to really keep up with some of those D1 SWAC schools, you know. So you'll be putting.
Oh yeah, they would definitely have to up their game. Absolutely.
Yeah, you'll be putting them at a disadvantage, just like Edward Waters College, their university now, Edward Waters University. When they played Jackson State, if you seen that game, like, who wants to see that? That would be a disservice.
Oh,
you got schools like
you made a very good you made a very good point, Spike Buzz. But we forgetting one thing. With your analogy, we forgetting one thing. We're forgetting that Savannah State, I think they were in the MEAC. They used to be Division II, and I think they went to the MEAC and they're back down to Division II. Correct?
Yeah.
Am I fact straight?
Because of their resources, they didn't have the resources to keep up being on the Division I level. So what I think should be done is you can merge the two D2 conferences and you can merge the two D1 conferences. That would be dope.
And I say that's Swag Buzz, because in the previous conversation we had, we talked about, you know, Central State being NAIA, and like Mr. Ford said, a lot of HBCUs are scared to play against Central State because they may be NAIA, but because the players they got, they kick you in the teeth. Now, as far as Division II go, I look at that school as being Fort Valley State. Fort Valley State, they may be Division II, but you and I both know, Swag Buzz, that Fort Valley State can beat some of these schools in the SWAC and MEAC because they got those players. Historically, they always have.
So,
hello?
I'm looking at this comment. So, Imperial says, stop saying they don't have the resources. They do it. SIAC has more resources than almost the whole SWAC, and the SIAC is winning the series against the SWAC. So, why aren't they D1 then? If you got the resources, why won't you be on the D1 level?
Okay, Swag Buzz. So, if you look at now what that person's saying, if you look at the population, and we talked about this before, if you look at the population of South Carolina State, they almost got 3,000 people. And if you look at the population of Central State, they almost got 3,000 people. If you look at Savannah State, they got 4,000 something kids. So is it really about, with 4,000 something kids, I think the resources is there. I think it has something to do with the mindset of like y'all talked about, North Dakota State, who's just going to sit there and win. although Fort Valley did put Greg Lloyd and Tyrone Poole and these guys in the pros, even if the kick was actually with Jaguars in the pro, why would they do that, SWAC Buzz, when they could stay right there and just kick everybody's teeth in? Because it's the same number of students.
I only see a few schools in the SIAC that can actually make a move like that. Albany State, Clark Atlanta, and probably Kentucky State.
Yeah, because I don't have my laptop in front of me, SWAC Buzz, but again, you look at South Carolina State, I believe they got 2,000 some kids. Central State got 2,000 something, and Fort Valley got more than both of them. So resources is based on numbers and kids paying tuition and alumni and things like that, correct?
Which is repeat that.
I said if you look at South Carolina State at 2,000 something kids, that's the same number I think that Fort Valley has and Central State has, and I think that Savannah State has more. Now the way I look at resources is how many kids is paying tuition and plus the alumni. Is that am I somewhere in the ballpark as far as financial resources go?
I'm into these comments. Repeat that one more time. My bad. I'm reading these comments. Go ahead one more time. I'm sorry.
No big deal, brother. What I was saying was, if you look at South Carolina State, 2,000 something kids, Central State, 2,000 something kids, and I believe Fort Valley, the way I look at resources is how many kids is going there that's paying tuition plus the alumni, right? If you look at South Carolina State's weight room and look at Savannah State's weight room, to me, they're almost on the same level. That's the way I look at resources. It's about the number of kids. It's about the number of kids. So why should Savannah State go to the MEAC and be okay or get their teeth kicked in when they can stay right there in Division II and be mediocre, if not good or great, just like North Dakota State, if that makes sense to you?
So with Savannah State, like you have to, when we say resources, we talking about scholarships too. So sometimes those schools can't fund those scholarships that they need to be able to keep up with a Division I school that can give 65 scholarships. Well, 63 scholarships. You know, if you can't give that money, you're going to be behind the 8 ball when it comes to players, and you're going to be losing. So that's why a lot of those schools don't move up from D2, even though they have the student body, even though they might have the nice field and things like that. They don't move because they can't fund those scholarships on a consistent basis to keep up with the D1 schools.
This is true. And it's funny, and kind of sad because even with limited scholarships, you and I both know that Central State can beat some of these SWAC schools and MEAC schools, and so can Fort Valley State with half the scholarships, right?
I mean, some of these D2 teams could beat like Delta. I know Delta State. Delta State done whooped on Jack State. I think they whooped on Jack State a couple of times, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, a D2 school can definitely beat a D1 school, but
absolutely?
But do they have the money to do it to get those players to keep up with all the D1 schools in that conference? That's where they struggle at, and that's why Savannah State had to go back down. You know.
Yeah, I'm looking at the comments right now, and Fury Nubia, she's right, or that person's right. You look at the SEAC schools, they got several national championships. People, so SWAC Buzz, I've always said this, and you may disagree. I've always said from Division II to Division I AA, the talent difference really ain't no big jump. Now from Division I AA to Division I, there's a big jump in talent. There's a big jump in talent. But from Division II SWAC Buzz to Division I AA/FBS, however you call this stuff nowadays, I don't think the talent and the level of play is really that different.
Yeah. I mean, you could be right about that. Like Albany State, I think they can go to a Division I level. I think they could do it. I think they could do a little.
Yeah, they got what, 6,000 kids, 5,000 kids? Yeah. How many they got? 4,000?
Yeah, a lot of people want them in the SWAC. So you got people saying they want them in the SWAC. But
nah, I'll put them over in the MEAC.
Yeah.
It's Georgia, MEAC.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are saying that the SWAC needs to get a Georgia school. They want to get that Georgia market. So that's why a lot of people are saying what schools in Georgia could come to the SWAC, and they was mentioning Albany State.
Yeah, it's just like Florida. You got FAMU in the SWAC, and I believe where's the one in Daytona? What's that place called? Bethune-Cookman. They're in the MEAC, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. But let me
But SWAC Buzz, I love talking. I just want to call back in for that, bro. Just to say, like, listen, no matter the numbers, it's about showing up. Hell.
All right. I appreciate the call.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, thank you. I was planning to end this show at 11 o'clock tonight. Y'all got me on here all this time. I was planning on ending the show almost an hour ago. Y'all know y'all get me talking and y'all sucker me in, I tell you. BCU and the SWAC now. Well, yeah, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Y'all know I cover SWAC content over here. So, like this kind of content, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll be dropping more videos all through the week. But I appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all liking the stream too. We got to 150, well, over 150 tonight, so that's good. Appreciate y'all liking the stream. And I'm going to see you guys on the next one. I'm gone.